fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Alrighty. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to SimSpeed TV here on a Tuesday evening. It means we're back for round number 2 of the Simworx Roadster Rumble here in its 3rd season. My name's Daniel Yeaman. I'm joined by Nick Scrave in the commentary box with Jake Kennedy in production for us tonight. Nick, great to have you back after the season opener at Spa last week for an endurance round. Solo drivers tonight as the series heads to Barcelona, Catalunya.
Yeah, absolutely there, Daniel. So this is our second point scoring round there. So we've had our Okayama session that we had a little bit earlier on this season, as well as our Enduro race there at Spa. So we are sending the guys out on their own at the moment. They are around the track just trying to get their last of their qualifying in, so be able to take a pretty good look soon. We are going to have a bit of a look at the track map and what we're up against tonight.
Indeed. So, as speaking out, single driver racing tonight, and currently with our AM class division just completing qualifying. But here is the circuit, Barcelona, Catalunya. Historic configuration tonight means we see the old long sweeping turn 10 at the end of the back straight, followed by the interesting 9 corners there is what it names. Europe car corner. We'll just get to the point of the Europe car corner at the end of the circuit there. The open and flowing right-hander to really speed up the final sector of the circuit before you bring it down onto the front straight to complete a lap and start another one again. So, going to be a faster lap than you'd expect from compared to the Grand Prix configuration, and obviously a lot more load on those left side tyres through that end part of the lap, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Very flowy track here, Catalunya. Probably expecting quite a lot of passing as well. We've seen some of the circuits like Spa and Okayama before. It's very much tracks where you sit in here. There's not really too much drafting, you'd have to say there, except for maybe that main straight and that straight somewhere in the middle. So I think it'll be all really about just really trying to get that really good track position.
I expect that will be the case indeed. Momentum is really important here in the MX-5 car, of course. I will expect we'll probably see a little bit of an advantage down that front straight, as you mentioned, for the toe. But and maybe a little bit there on that back stretch. But nevertheless, still going to be all about how well you get these cars through the corners and get the strategy nailed out. So here's our calendar on screen. Barcelona is the second round, and the S denoting that tonight is a sprint round, of course, for good measure. And then head over to Phillip Island for a combined race, and then our next Enduro, Road America, Sprint Okayama, combined at Silverstone Historic, Endurance at Kota, Indy Road for the Sprint, Laguna Seca for our final combined, and Bathurst to end the series on another endurance round. Well, qualifying's just coming to an end here, folks, so almost time for us to have a look at the grid, but that's our series schedule. And so, just to catch you up on tonight's racing, being a sprint round, we've got 3 races for both divisions tonight, slightly longer in the pro class later on. But it's about 20 odd minutes was the target time. If I actually, maybe it should be 15 minutes, correction, for the AM class that are up here first tonight. 2 pit stops required in 3 races, so you've got a bit of flexibility there, Nick, and drivers are now just heading to the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will cut to our grid there. It is headed by Neil Mckenzie, getting into the 2 minutes 1.5, and I'll let you go through the field.
Alrighty then. So yeah, Neil Mckenzie taking the pole position there who'll be alongside Lewis, Chad Lewis there. Apologies there for the issues here. So, excellent naming scheme from the admins. Unfortunately, makes first names a bit hard to do, but we'll try and get through them. So, McMillan and Hollis on row number 2, followed by Foster and Connors on row number 3. And we head over the page here. We've got a couple of those. Matt Van Egmond there, winner at Okayama round 0, alongside Jesse White-Carrig for row 4. Gogol and Canto on row 5, alongside with Willits and Fenson on row 6 behind them. Seddon and Holmes starting on row 7. Ferguson and Linus on row 8. Ellis and Knowles on row 9. And over the page once again, we hope. Indeed, there we go. So Bud and Rodkin on the 10th row. Paradiso and McCulloch on the 11th. Gregory and Harrison on the 12th. And then co-last cars here. Seddon and Walton on the 13th row. Roberts and Lee. Actually, probably Lee Harrison, we'll see him later tonight in the pro class. He must have joined the wrong server. Tomlin and Eastwood on the 15th row. And I believe that just about wraps it up. But we're going to have to deal with that later, because racing underway here for round number 2, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely there. Neil Mckenzie getting a really good run there from Lewis and McMillan there. Do have, I think that is, Anthony Connors did really good to get a good run up there. He's up on that right-hand side on the inside of the corner.
Yeah, looking too wide at the front of the field as we come into turn 1. A little bit of side-to-side wobbling. Thankfully, all keeping relatively calm. And I just to say that back at the field. Oh, dear me. Car off on the inside before turn 1. 2 cars off for good measure. The number 71 there of Brendan Walton. And then the number 18 of, pardon me, folks, as I try and catch the first name. Yes, Brinley Eastwood. Yeah, had the surname there, but unfortunately not the second. The first name. But there we go. Unfortunately, oh goodness me, as we're talking about that drama further up the field, and that I believe would be Matt.
Yeah, the
Matt
correct.
Said, oh no, good grief! Just trying to get our heads around the names here, and John Thorne there in the Allied Motorsports MX-5. Oh goodness me, it is going off here in the first sector of this race. And there's another car rejoining there, the number 31 of Andrew Roberts there at the back of the pack. So that's a lot of guys now damaged and not getting off to the start that they would like for this race here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems to be, I think, being our M division there, having maybe a few of our newer drivers here. A lot of them is quite new to league racing as well, so it does get a little bit tricky trying to give each other that racing space there. But through that front of the field has been actually quite clean. We have seen, definitely with the MX-5s at Barcelona, we've seen carnage everywhere. But thankfully, the front half of the field has managed to keep it off each other and off the wall. And as I say that, we've just actually had, I think, Matt Van Egmond there potentially off the circuit. And, Jamie Willits, I think that is. So he's spun around backwards there. I think we did see one of the other Tartan cars off a little bit earlier on. So we're going to probably see quite a few of these MX-5s now trying to take the pits a little bit earlier to try and make back some of that lost track position.
Yeah, indeed. 7-lap race here. Well, 7 laps per race tonight for the M division. Obviously means that there's not a lot of time to recover if things don't go your way. You see here, Neil Mckenzie, after getting that pole position, has had to fallen back to 3rd place here by the end of lap number 1, but looking to the inside of Roderick Hollis through turns 1 and 2 and looking to crisscross on the way up to turn 3, but don't think it's going to work here for Neil. As I say that, he's just got a tiny bit of overlap there, but not quite. He'll have to probably slot in, though Hollis continuing to defend is going to give the opportunity for Mckenzie to try and get up on the outside. Not quite going to happen there, though, and Mckenzie does have a teammate in behind, which is Mark Foster, aboard the number 5 MX-5 there, and then they're followed by Brandon McMillan in the 115. So these guys are obviously busy trying to get on with it. And there you go, Mckenzie up the inside at turn number 5. And almost got the job done, but Hollis got slightly better drive. They're going to be side by side down the hill, and they nick into turn 7. But Mckenzie gets the job done and gets the nose in front on corner exit.
Bold move there by Neil Mckenzie. That's such a tricky section, that chicane. You really need to try and apex it as best you can from the outside. Oh, and it's actually checked all 4 of them up there. That little bit of a rear contact there. You can see, Neil Mckenzie defending so sharp there at the moment. Sorry, it's actually his teammate there, Mark Foster, is being the car in front. So the 2 downshift cars getting themselves into 3rd and 4th respectively.
Indeed, Foster looking to follow Mckenzie through here to obviously keep these two downshift cars together. But Roderick Hollis isn't giving up that position anytime soon. He looks to hold for the inside at the penultimate corner, but has to get on the brakes momentarily and roll back in line. Now leaves him exposed to Brandon McMillan, but in saying that, dives to the pit lane and gets out of that battle pack. So that's going to be one pit stop out of the way there for Hollis. It was a good strategy at Okayama to get one of your pit stops done, or get the pit stops done as early as possible. So be curious to see here what Mckenzie chooses to do, given he's out in front at the moment. Car 180 down the lane, following be Jamie Budd following Roderick Hollis into the lane, and we see here, I believe, either Andrew or Anthony Connors. Apologies, Anthony Connors. Excellent, and also one of our first drivers to take a pit stop, if I'm not mistaken, by the fact we're having a look at him right now. Currently riding around on track and in 17th place, but he's picking up a whole bunch of spots here as he passes guys that are in the pits here on lap 2, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just having a quick look there at race control. I think that is John Thorne has received a penalty for, he was tangled up in some of that lap 1 carnage there. So, yeah, so car 690, that is not a great start to the night. We'll have a bit more of a redemption there. You can see him coming into the pits there earlier. That incident did actually put him well out the back of the whole field there on lap 1 there, and I do believe R. Harrison as well in for so a couple of cars receiving those penalties for tonight.
Yeah, certainly not what Ray would be hoping for, but he'll have to come and take that penalty later on in the race. But, well, not too long in saying that. He'll have to get that done soon enough. But he's already had a couple of trips down the lane, so definitely not going to be a great finishing result here. Currently 31st, and the last driver currently circulating. So definitely not where he wants to be. As he's got, oh no, we're talking about him having to circulate around on circuit. It's taken the number 10 of Dylan Canto with him. Dylan, watch that rejoin. Oh boy, that's gotten messy down at turn 7 and 8. Oh, yikes.
Yeah, that was actually a real shame for Dylan, because he was actually having a bit of luck there with that. Was up around 10th place there, so that rejoin was probably pretty inexcusable. I think that was Jamie Buddy actually made contact with. I dare say that'll get investigated and will most likely receive a penalty there in our second race here.
Yeah, like obviously it's not great to be tripped up and in an accident which wasn't really your own making, but you've got to make sure you do whatever you can to keep that car out of the way and not trip up somebody else as a result. But then again, there was quite a bit of damage to that front left, so maybe steering there was preventing Dylan from getting that car straightened up and out of the way. Meanwhile, back up the front of the field, Neil Mckenzie here running around in second. I believe following it's Chad Lewis, if I've gotten the first names right. Indeed, yes, it is Chad Lewis in the 29 leading the race at the moment there, followed by Mckenzie and then Mark Foster still riding in third, and keeping Brandon McMillan at bay for the time being. They've built out now quite a substantial gap to the cars behind them. First car to pit is now Roderick Hollis, who's back in 9th. So there is this massive 11-odd second gap between 4th and 5th that is purely due to what's happened earlier in the race, along with pace. Looking at times from the last lap between McMillan in 4th and it's Wade McCulloch in 5th, we're looking at a gap of almost 2 seconds per lap here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just seeing... you'd have to say, though, it's usually a pretty common combination, the MX-5, so there's not really much of an excuse for people to miss out on getting their practice in, but it really goes to show just how smooth these drivers here at the front are to be able to pull such a massive gap. And of course, that gap as well between Graham Ellis and Roderick Hollis there. So that's between our Graham there in 8th position, Roderick in 9th there, being the two cars between who have done the pits and who haven't. So all comes into play here. We've actually seen, talking about the pits there, Neil Mckenzie and Mark Foster also in the pits as well, the two downshift cars.
Indeed, Mckenzie put the pit stop in races 1 and 2 to good practice back at Okayama for the pre-season event. See here now, Roderick Hollis, the leader of the cars that have pitted, as we keep an eye on that's Anthony Connors, who's currently looking to chase Roderick down here and get a move on for position. Roderick just a little wide to the final corner, possibly giving Connors the run, or a chance at a run, but Mckenzie and Foster out of the pits up ahead. Are they going to be able to clear this group? The answer looks like it's going to be yes. Not by a huge amount, so definitely an opportunity for these guys here running now as, well, fighting over a third of those who have pitted. Possibility to close the gap back up as the two downshift guys get up to speed, but strategy working out nicely here for Neil and Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. So that did put him out. You'd have to say only about a second and a half adrift of the cars in front, so you'd almost say that they'll have to try and make back almost that cold tyres there, maybe for about half a lap. So might see that group in behind actually close that gap down, and then it will kind of almost extend out the other way, just having that little bit of edge there, being a little, maybe a lap or two less fresher tyres for the two downshift cars.
You say that, but they're working each other back and forth here, trying to, I think, maintain momentum, but it's not doing them any favours. Meanwhile, we're looking back in the pack. It's Eric Fenson currently fending off, well, it's Greg Holmes there, along with the number 30 of Ferguson, first name to be confirmed. Ben Ferguson. There we go. And the car number doesn't even help me. So Ben Ferguson, there we go, running in 15th place there and looking to chase down Greg and Eric for 13th place. These guys, obviously part of the group that have taken a pit stop, so looking to press on here. But up at the front, Neil Mckenzie is back ahead of Mark Foster. But as we were saying, here come the guys who have already been out on fresh tyres. Hollis thinks about the inside at turn 11, but not able to get up alongside enough before he gets into the corner. So has to set up for the front straight, you'd think here, Nick, as they make their way through the last couple of corners here on lap number 5 of 7.
Yeah, you'd say they're looking at that last lap as well. Anthony Connors maybe just about 0.3 of a second faster than Roger Cole, so he potentially might have the pace to get around there. You can see all the way down that straight there at Barcelona, quite a long straight there. We normally see passes in MotoGP and all kinds of forms of motorsport as well. You see Roderick there, all actually giving each other almost mini fake outs there, trying to work out what line they're going to take in through there. All maintaining position there at the moment. You see Connors right under that rear bar there of Roderick Hollis.
Yeah, and looks to try and put the pressure on in the early part of turn 3. It's not worked out for him though. Allowed Roderick just to have a bit of a breather up to turn 4 and get back onto pressuring Foster here for position number 8, sorry. Pardon me, as these guys make their way around turn number 4. Hollis looking for the more open exit early. Trying to get the nose up the inside for turn 5, but Foster just covers enough. But, oh, it's not working. In fact, that's been baited out quite nicely there from Hollis. Gets alongside as they make their way down the hill to turn 7. Side by side on the brakes here, and he should have this job done. Foster indeed yields at turn 7 to try and set up for a counter-attack here at the end of the back straight. Not long left in this first race here, Nick, so positions are going to be important. Oh, a slight tap, though, through turn number 9. Foster up and over the curb there compared to Hollis as they make their way down the back straight here.
Yeah, very cheeky tap there. The that right rear is usually quite unloaded through there. It's almost looks flat from our cameras there, but it's like almost a little crest as it goes around the right. So very lucky there not to unsettle the car too much. You have to say, what a awesome wall, Roderick Hollis, almost pitching it sideways. But we have just having a look at some of the other cars around the field. Great work there by Roderick Hollis. So I have to double check there, Daniel. Are we running that top 10 invert on this round?
I cannot see a top 10 invert in race number 2, Nick. So looks like these guys here are going to be, it's a completely progressive grid from start to end tonight. So nevertheless, white flag in the air. We just saw Chad Lewis about 30 seconds ago taking that at the lead of the race. He is one of 6 cars at the front of the field not to pit, of course, so they will have to make their stops in the next 2 races, which will see them fall back potentially in one of those 2. But nevertheless, this fight here continues. Roderick Hollis has not been able to stay with Neil Mckenzie, and now Mark Foster is looking to apply the pressure once again, but Anthony Connors is there as well, and he's up the inside possibly of Foster. Oh, not quite through turn 3, so he's going to have to surely try and get back in line, but continues to show the nose to try and put the pressure here on Foster for turn 4 perhaps. Very different lines. You see Hollis all the way out to the left, Foster running mid-track, Connors left to the right side of the track through turn 4 as they make their way down into turn 5 here, Nick.
Yeah, it almost shows you really how wide Barcelona is, and with these small MX-5s, you can plenty of options with what lines you want to take. You'll see we'll usually keep it up pretty tight there. Oh, it's actually yeah, different lines again from all those three. We are going to have a bit of a look further back between there. I think Graham Ellis and Gregory as well. So
Indeed.
pressure all over the circuit at the moment.
Indeed, those guys are fighting over third on track, but back up front, it's going to be Chad Lewis who's going to take the checkered flag here. Brandon McMillan follows him across the line for second. Here's the fight for third as they come through Europe car, and then the final corner. Looks like Aiden's going to be able to hold on to third here ahead of... Oh, goodness me, we just said it was Graham Ellis there in fourth. Indeed, those guys are going to finish in line. Come across the line here, and it's going to be Wade McCulloch for position number 5. Leaves Shane Seddon, the last car, to not have pitted. Mckenzie leads the pack, but just as we've been talking about, it's been busy all over around. In fact, Anthony Connors gets through on Mark Foster. Jesse White-Carrick, unfortunately, has to settle for 11th at the back of that group there, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just seeing a few of our final cars coming through. I know Greg Holmes there in around 14th place there. I think Ben Ferguson in 15th, so they'll be pretty happy with that as well. Then we've got I think that is car 180 there, so Jamie Budd bringing around the rear of the field, roughly around, I think, 27th position or so.
And definitely not the race result he would have been looking for in that one there, Nick. Tripped up a little, 17th at the line there for Jesse. But let's have a look here at the results. Chad Lewis taking the race win there from Brandon McMillan. Aiden Gregory, yes, in third place, followed by Graham Ellis and Wade McCulloch 5th, and Shane Seddon, last of the cars to pit, or not to pit on race 1 there, coming home in 6th place. Apologies here, I'm just going to quickly grab a screenshot of those results for us, because we need to make sure we get an idea of the pits later on. But Neil Mckenzie, 7th place, followed by Roger Collis, Anthony Collins, and Mark Foster. Top 10, and almost the last of that group there, it was Jesse White-Carrick at the back of it there. As we come over the page, Matt Van Egmond was 12th on track there in race 1, followed by Eric Fenson, Greg Holmes, Ben Ferguson home in 15th, Terry Knowles, apologies, in 16th, followed by Jamie Budd, 17th, Philip Paradiso, 18th, Brendan Walton, apologies if I've got that wrong, 19th. I can't find his name when I want to find it, but yes, it is Brendan Walton, sorry, and Bard Roggan, 20th, and over the page for you there, Nick.
Yeah, so we do have Jay Picton there in Mark Seddon, Jamie Willits there in 23rd, John Thorne in 24th, C. Tomlin in, that is Christopher Tomlin there in 25th, B. Eastwood, Dave Gogol, Dylan Canto there, we did see with that big incident earlier on, I think that was lap 3 for Dylan Canto, Darren Linus there in 29th, and A. Roberts there in 30th position.
And then there should be one more over the page, I believe, for 31 positions. Yeah, Ray Harrison there, 31st, and unfortunately last of our finishers in that one there. But time to get to the race number 2, progressive grid. So those results immediately reflected in the positions here for this second race. And that means now, of course, our top 6 are going to have to pit in both races 1 and 2 here. Revs come up on the grid. Get ready for race number 2 here, folks. And we'll be underway in just a second. Away we go. MX-5s dumping the clutch and all the revs as they get underway here for the race number 2. We've got 3 wide for the front row, 3 wide for position number 4, if I'm not mistaken. Well, sorry, 5. As these guys get underway down in turn 1. It's going to be busy here, Nick. These guys need to sort themselves out before we get there.
Yeah, what a run there by Aiden Gregory, all the way from 3rd position, has absolutely walked around those top 2 cars there, has actually taken the lead. So Aiden Gregory there, car number 420, off to an absolute blinder.
Oh, goodness me, Shane Seddon wide there through turns 2 and 3. That's unfortunately dropping him well down the pack, and as a car that hasn't pitted yet, that's going to be a disaster. But through the middle of turn 3, oh goodness, multiple cars involved. Oh no. Oh, it's gone horrendously bad. The 05. Oh, goodness me. Who do we have there in that car?
That is Jay Picton there, I think. So, oh, sorry, Jay Picton. So that did start, I think, around 21st position. So that's put him all the way down the back. He will look like he'll have to get a tow out of that.
Oh, goodness me. Drama at the front of the field. Mark Foster spinning out of turn 5. I think all by himself. That is going to obviously be not what he wanted. Obviously, one pit stop already done for him. Now, that car looked a little bit funky as it was trying to get away here, but I think he's all right. Oh, there's been more drama, but we need to get to a virtual racing school replay to get an idea of what on earth's happened here through turn number 3, Nick. You see the A5 of Pickett. Yes, you take us through it, Nick. Oh, dear, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it did look like Pickett there all the way on his own. I almost thought that might have been contact with Philip Paradiso in front there, but such a fast part of the circuit. Also blind as well. You do have that Armco that lines all the way around that right-hand side, so a lot of cars kind of coming up on something. So we are going to have a look here at the replay there. Did almost look like a tap there, but Mark Foster there just a little bit too aggressive on the throttle coming out of that turn 5 hairpin. So that has probably kind of put his strategy out of sync at the moment. We have seen Graham Ellis, car 55, in the pits.
Yes, I think Graham unfortunately caught up in the drama. Meanwhile, here come a flood of cars getting pit stops done, led by the 420, currently driven by Aiden Gregory. Brings that car down the lane. Roderick Hollis follows suit, along with Eric Fenson. And then we actually get an eye on the pit lane here, actually, to get an idea of who we've had down the lane. But unfortunately, pit lane cameras aren't going to do me any favours. That's unfortunate. Alrighty. We'll get our eyes on that in a second. Roderick Hollis, Anthony Connors down the lane. We've got Mark Foster pitting. Matt Van Egmond has just pitted. Jesse White-Carrick. So, handful of cars on the lane. That's a couple of cars getting 2 stops out of the way. In fact, almost all of them, apart from Gregory, if I'm not mistaken, gets stopped out of the way.
Yeah, we're just on board.
Yes, you take it from here, Nick.
Oh, yes. Sorry about that, Dan. We're just on board here with Brandon McMillan doing an excellent job there in 3rd position. So he's just trying to work out where his strategy sits there in the grand scheme of things. It looks like he potentially has either another pit stop or 2 to do as well. So Aiden Gregory there, car 420, was our leader coming into pit lane. So Aiden there around about that 13th place. So it's done quite well. It's actually showed how much of a run of attrition there it is. I think there's about almost at least over 10 cars there that were all affected by that carnage there on that race 1. So you can see even for Aiden himself there, being able to pit and then still coming out in 13th place.
Yeah, indeed, that's good stuff. But here at the front of the field, the racing is certainly on once again. Neil Mckenzie looking to get back up to the front after taking a pit stop in race 1. No sign of a pit stop from him yet in this second race. So looking to press on and pressure Chad Lewis. Chad does have to come down the lane in this race and the next one, so he can't afford to wait around forever, but perhaps here looking to see the field spread out as they fight amongst each other and then take advantage later on. Meanwhile, here's Shane Seddon, currently 10th place, but down into the pits for him, so that'll put him back down the order once the cycle makes its way through for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Also just looking as well, Ben Ferguson, car 30, getting a black flag there, so that potentially might have been with one of the incidents there at the start. So that will be a pretty unfortunate round for him as well. Hopefully he can kind of make it back a little bit in the next race coming up. Just looking at one of the downshift cars there at car 247. Car 242 there of Neil Mckenzie. So Neil back in the lead at the moment. So potentially he has really... Just getting an update there on our JRT time in there. So currently in 2nd place, but having quite a good run there for Neil Mckenzie. Strategy working out really well. Not so much for his teammate though, with Mark Foster having that spin on turn 5 a little bit earlier.
Indeed, yeah, that's definitely not what he wanted. And so yeah, Ben Ferguson, meanwhile, just serving that drive-through penalty a moment ago. Puts him now down the back of the field for him, unfortunately, but has completed a pit stop in this race prior to the penalty, and also completed the pit stop in race number 1. So he'll be clear to press on to the end here, although being on that number 3 of 7 already, not a lot of time and opportunities left for him to capitalise. Meanwhile, battle's still up and down the field. Roderick Hollis looking to fend off Aiden Gregory here, and they're both trying to chase down Jamie Willits for that'll be 10th on track at the moment. These guys looking to relatively evenly, well, actually, correction. Well, Jamie is the last car on track yet to pit in this race currently. And it's Roderick Hollis for the time being, who has assumed the lead of those who have pitted once again. Meanwhile, behind them is the next big battle pack. Eric Fenson, Matt Van Egmond, and Anthony Connors, and Jesse White-Carrig, all having taken to the pits on lap 1, or actually, yes, lap 1. So these guys here looking to make their way back forward. And let's just have a quick look and see which of these guys pitted. Actually, correction, all of these guys pitted in race number 1 because they all finished outside the top 6, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, these guys here, stop's done. They're now here to race hard all the way to the end of the race. And they're in a good position here because if any of these guys up ahead take to the pits, they'll jump up the order quite nicely inside the top 10 if we get a handful, if I'm not mistaken here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. They were just having another look. I think car 46 there, Wade McCulloch, just getting his stop done, so you can see he'll be coming out the back of all that group there. Gee, these four are starting to really push each other pretty hard there. Car 20 well and truly up the inside there, covering that off there. Matt Van Egmond, we've seen some really good pace from him in some of our early rounds there. He did an absolutely amazing effort at Okayama. Unfortunately, taking on that penalty and having a bit of an incident there. We're on board here with Anthony Connors. Great, great work there on the MX-5 from Anthony Connors. He's really been there from the start and has always really been chipping away. So you'll be looking forward to a podium if you can get one in the AM class. I reckon one would only be around the corner this season.
There's a good chance of it, although has to get on the brakes on corner exit to make sure it doesn't run up the back of Van Egmond or Fenson directly ahead. So not quite the way he wanted to get off that corner there. And I could have sworn I saw, whilst we were trying to get to Virtual Racing School replay earlier on lap number 1, unfortunately Anthony got tripped up by some incident in the middle part of the lap. So probably not quite where he would want to be, but they're not that far off the leading drivers who have pitted in the form of Hollis and Gregory. They've actually now been split by Jamie Willett. So as I say that, just up ahead at turn 10, Hollis up the inside, I think pretty aggressive on Willits. I think it's side by side, but job done there from Roderick. Looks like that's working out for him all right. But fighting like that will bring them back into the guys behind them. Meanwhile, from the race lead, Chad Lewis is followed in by Brendan McMillan, taking pit stops in this race. So getting them out of the way because that's stop number 1 for both of those guys. And they should come out. Well, actually, it might be fairly close to these guys here who are just coming onto the front straight now. And Brendan and Chad down the end of the pit lane, already rolling and back out on track here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'd actually see that the actual pit delta here is actually reasonably quick here. It's a short pit lane, nice and straight where they come in and out. So you can really see not costing them too much time.
Oh!
Yeah, that is Roderick Hollis there. So he's been spat off onto the inside of the circuit. He's been taken off that driving line. So hopefully he'll be able to rejoin. Not too much damage. We were actually just having a good look at Roderick Hollis and how much of a lucky night he was having, but his luck, it's kind of goes to show in these MX-5s, everything gets turned on its head so quickly. We are going to cut to a VRS replay on that.
Indeed. Down the front straight, that is Jamie Willits, who was looking to get the position back here into turn number 1. Hard on the brakes now as Willits run a little wide. Oh, maybe meet in the middle there, I'd say, Nick, on the exit of turn 1 as they get ready for turn 2, and a little 360 spin from Roderick to get that car facing back the way he wants. Unfortunately, that's a heck of a lot of time loss. He's gone from fighting over what is now 8th on track to 15th and in a bit of a bubble all on his own at the moment. Yeah, that one was a bit hard to call there because, they both kind of went from the outside of the circuit all the way back to the inside. And they were almost pretty much side by side. So I'm sure Race Control will have a good look at that one there. Currently on board here with Neil Mckenzie. So Neil, only real driver we've got in the 201s there. So with the just under a 201 455 there. So sorry, Chad Lewis as well with a 201.5. But these two really getting some clean laps away, and you can actually show that really is working into Neil Mckenzie's favour. Meanwhile, trouble for Eric Fenson down at turn number 10. He's just lost a whole bunch of positions, and he was fighting with the group of Van Egmond, Connors, and White-Carrig. So here comes the Virtual Racing School replay, in fact, all by his own here, and oh dear, catches the grass on entry, and oh, that's not what you want. He was up in that group there, so looking to push back up and join the fight, but pushing a little too hard perhaps, and just catching a bit of off track there. Well, lap 6 or 7 has begun, but the fighting continues. Jamie Willis has now got Aiden Gregory all over the rear bumper down into turn 1, but Gregory opts to back off ever so slightly to try and maximise the run through turns 2 and 3, but Willits, thankfully for Willits himself there, able to get a decent run there, but at the same time, Gregory just a little tighter and cleaner on the exit of 3 there, closes the gap ever so slightly here, really showing just how important it is if you can really get the line and run the minimum distance around a track like this whilst not compromising your speed too much here, Nick.
Yeah, you'd have to say they were kind of looking through the all the lap boards and stuff, and there's really the last set of laps there, no one's really made too much movement there. You can see Jamie Willits going super wide there, potentially maybe outbraking himself just a little bit too much has also opened up that door there to Matt Van Egmond. Matt Van Egmond getting that that overtake done there to Jamie Willits all the way over the top of the curb there, so potentially I think that might just be 1x, no slowdown needed. Anthony Connors there also in this group as well, with Jesse White-Carrick, so both Connors and Jesse White-Carrick there working together in both of our Heat 1 and in Heat 2.
Yes, and well, even more bad news with Jamie Willits. Race Control have indeed had a look at the incident with Roger Hollis, and they've brought down a black flag penalty upon Jamie there. So, lost the position to Van Egmond on track, but he's going to have to bring that car down the lane on this lap here to get that cleared, and that'll send him quite a ways down the order. Not where he wants to be, but and possibly a pretty, or maybe a harsh penalty, but then again, he was the driver on the attack, and there needs to be some responsibility on you as the attacking driver to make sure you get that job done. Meanwhile, white flag in the air. Here's our leading drivers who have pitted. It's Chad Lewis and Brendan McMillan. They come through turns 1 and 2, but battle continues again. This time, Aiden Gregory is now having a look at Matt Van Egmond this time. So still on the attack here, Aiden, but a little tight through turn 2. It actually opens a door for Andrew Connors to go straight up the inside. Says, thank you very much, I'll have that place, and take my chance to attack Van Egmond here as we get the final lap underway, Nick.
Yeah, great work there by Anthony Connors there. Absolutely threading that needle there. Wasn't much of a gap there. Definitely under attack again there. You can see Jesse White-Carrick all over the back of these guys as well. So Carrick running ever so slightly wide. You can see just how strong there Gregory's trying to get that back there. Losing another position, so he's almost 4 positions there in all of about 3 or 4 corners almost.
Yeah, from second in the pack to 4th in the pack. Certainly not where Aiden wants to be, but just shows how important it is to make sure you're maintaining speed and maintaining your position. And he's lost out there in that one. We'll come back to this fight in a second, because up the front of the field, Neil Mckenzie opting not to pit here in race number 2 has allowed himself to come back to the front of the field and get the race win that his qualifying time deserved in win the race here in number 2 or 3 tonight. He's going to come home ahead of Greg Holmes in second, and they'll be followed for 3rd place by Knowles and Terry. It's Terry Knowles. There we go. 3rd place for Terry there. And they're followed across the line Matthew Seddon. And 5th place is going to go to the number 11 there on the car. It is indeed. That'll be Ray Harrison, looking to recover after a slightly rough race number 1. So, indeed a good recovery there from Ray. Meanwhile, let's see, Van Egmond in 8th place is going to lead that pack across the line there. Meanwhile, sorry, Nick, in fact, you take this from here, indeed.
Yeah, sorry. Just as we saw those cars coming across the line there, all hell was breaking loose with some of our, you have to say, mid-pack drivers here. So I think this is Philip Paradiso there. And I think it is Bard Rodkin there. So Bard Rodkin in that green and red MX-5 there on the inside. But trying to work what had happened out there. Were cars all over. Yeah, very heavy impact between him and Darren Linus. So
yeah, I think unfortunately
not looked at too favourably.
Yeah, I think unfortunately there, Bard, the victim, Darren, unfortunately trying to stay with Bard there, but you put 2 wheels out in the grass like that, and that's going to be a world of hurt for you in a situation like that. So get the feeling we'll be seeing a similar penalty in that case as we saw earlier for us. Well, for similar instances like that. But here's the results from race 2. We've got a chance to run through them here and take a moment. Neil Mckenzie taking the race win ahead of Greg Holmes by 9 seconds. Terry Knowles, final car on the podium tonight. They were followed home by Matthew Seddon and Ray Harrison to round out the top 5. Chad Lewis, the first of our cars to pit, coming home in 6th. He's followed by Brendan McMillan. Then the next, the battle pack of Matt Van Egmond, Anthony Connors, and Jesse White-Carrig. Rounding out our top 10, and over the page, Aidan Gregory was the last car of that group in 11th. Roderick Hollis coming home in 12th there, followed by Eric Fenson and Christopher Tomlin in 14th. Philip Paradiso led home Dylan Canto there for 15th and 16th. Wade McCulloch and Roberts, first name A, unfortunately escapes me. They're 17th and 18th, followed by Ben Ferguson and Bard Rodkin rounding out our top 20 here, Nick.
Yes, we did see Jamie Budd, Shane Seddon there in 21st and 22nd there, Brendan Walton, Mark Foster there, Graham Ellis, Dave Gogol, Jamie Willits, and then there were our cars on our finishing lap there, Darren Linus, John Thorne, and I think that is Jamie Pinkin, who we did see had that massive incident there on lap 1.
Yeah, definitely not the way he wanted that one to end, and it's Ben Eastwood, Brindley Eastwood, sorry, there. Last of our drivers, I believe, retiring early from that one there. 3 laps down, unfortunately. Well, we'll take a quick warm-up phase. In the meantime, we'll try and quickly crunch numbers on who needs to pit here for you folks. Obviously, a couple of drivers opting not to pit in either race 1 or race 2, meaning we'll see them drop down the order here for race number 3. I'll be back with you in a second once I've got that figured out. But Nick, I guess maybe a chance to run through the series sponsors here as we have this warm-up phase before the feature race, perhaps?
Yeah, absolutely. So we did see, we'll just bring that graphic up on the screen. We did see Rinaldi, Automotive Towing, KP Tech, Palmer's, Phoenix Smokers, Race Lab, and then our new sponsors there of Aussie Cars, True Clean Auto Detailing, Motorsport Haulers are also new sponsors here to the season, so I think, and also obviously Simworx, our title sponsor as well. So big prize pool, also great that they can run such an awesome broadcast that we can bring you as well. So yes, definitely can't be done without the generous work of these sponsors in the background. So we've still got plenty of racing here tonight as well. Definitely lots to see. So I'm sure we've got quite a few people tuning in live. There'll be a lot of people as well catching all the action tomorrow morning. I was definitely one of those ones, especially the MX-5s. I'd usually put it on in the background at work the day after as well. So all brought to you by SimSpeed.
Indeed. Great to be able to be part of the broadcast here, and great to see a lot of sponsors on board for a series like this. And great to see a massive field of drivers once again, with 30 drivers here in just the AM division. We've got the Pro and Pro-Am combined division up next in, well, about 15-20 minutes time here, folks. Let's just I'm working my way still through the list of cars that need to pit here in race 2. Unfortunately, it's taken me longer than I'd like to crunch the numbers and, well, run the list here, but I'll have that done and have names for you in just a second, folks. Until then, we'll just let the warm-up phase wrap up, and in fact, we might even take a quick break here and be back with you in just a moment.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction, he's going the outside of both of them. Maloney! Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top. Oh my God! Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
It's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God!
God, what?
All right, welcome back, folks. Thanks for indulging a small pause on our behalf there as we get ready for the third and final race here in the AM division of the Simworx Roadster Rumble, round number 2, Barcelona Sprint. Well, just crunch the numbers there on who needs to pit here, Nick, and it's a total of 12 cars we believe we'll be seeing duck into the pit lane for this final one. So our top 5 on the grid here will need to come in as they opted not to pit in race 2, plus a couple of drivers who opted not to pit in race 1. So we'll see this order definitely be shaken up a bit here, but there's about half the field. Actually, it's almost half and half split of drivers yet to pit and drivers who will be good to go stay out on track from start to finish here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. So not only does it keep us guessing, we have worked it out. Thankfully, we can run it on the overlays, but also keep all the drivers looking at each other as well, trying to nut out whether or not they'll be coming in. So be a surprise for everyone.
Yeah, good chance that some drivers might be keeping track of this data, but at the same time, I get the feeling it's one of those things where you do your thing and you see where drivers turn out. But thanks to the excellent work here of Jay Kennedy on production, you'll see drivers highlighted on the overlay displays as the ones we need to keep an eye on who are yet to pit. So as we said there, it's our top 5 from race 2, plus Chad Lewis actually as well, who didn't take a pit stop in race 1. Aiden Gregory down there in 11th needs to pit as well. And then further down the order, we've got a couple more drivers there. We'll need to see. Revs rising once again here for race number 3. Oh, did I just see a jump start from the third row? Maybe as a car slow away there ahead of Brendan McMillan. It's going to be Ray Harrison. I think there was a small jump start there and they tried to recover, but definitely not the start they were looking for here, Nick, as they make their way down to turn number 1. Oh no, in the back of the field, sorry. I see a car off on the left at the 05 once again. Yes, it is. Oh, goodness me. That car has already been in the wars tonight, and it's not getting any better. And they've towed already. No, sorry, just blinked. But they're now a long way behind the pack here, Nick.
Or Jamie Pinkin there with Roger Collis. So his, it looks like it potentially might be suspension damage. It did look like Phil Paradiso that might have been there, car number 8, being the big loser and all that. And we've seen quite a few damaged cars there. It's very apparent though, as soon as you take damage on the MX-5, very hard to steer, and it almost makes you like a sitting duck. So you really need to encourage a lot of these drivers that if you do take damage, not to keep pushing through, because it can unfortunately take out someone else there, as we've just seen there with car 66 and 25 off screen there. I think Eric Fenson taking out between Eric Fenson and Shane Seddon. So might have to cut to a bit of a replay through all this once everyone gets themselves sorted out. But
yeah, going to have just a couple of replays to deal. Oh, goodness me. And just more cars around. Just try and catch your breath here, Nick. But unfortunately, the drama keeps on coming as we look to the front of the field. And here's what we've got currently brewing. Well, actually, this is brewing in the mid-pack. We've got Ben Ferguson leading Aiden Gregory. These guys are currently sitting up in 6th. So they're looking to get on with it. And we see here Aiden's definitely looking to push on because he's one of the cars that needs to pit. But wasn't starting at the front of the field for this race, as they started in about 11th, or Aiden started in about 11th or thereabouts. These guys have made their way through quite substantially, and there go Aiden immediately peels off into the pit lane to get that final stop done. Meanwhile, these guys will stay out on track, but we do have cars up ahead in the lane. Matthew Seddon and I believe, yes, Greg Holmes, both coming down immediately to get their pit service out of the way, and also Ray Harrison after that start there, possibly getting pit service and a penalty for good measure there done. But out on track, the action continues. Ben Ferguson fending off Jesse White-Carrick And then immediately behind them, it's Mark Foster with Christopher Tomlin. And just ahead of him now, that's Dylan Canto. Sorry, these guys scrapping all over the track here. And they're fighting hard over what it looks like about 7th or 8th here, Nick.
Yeah, so Dylan Canto, bit of a drive for redemption. We did see. We've seen it time and time again, even though that these are little small sprint races, that generally you can work your way back through the field, especially with so much of the carnage that we've seen there at the moment. There you can see Ben Ferguson all the way up there, the inside there from Jesse White Carrigan. That's almost opened the door, the door for Mark Foster there in that downshift car. Or Jesse White Carrigan there going super late there. Very unfortunate there for his KP Tech teammate, as we saw a little bit earlier there. Philip Paradiso getting heavily taken out in turn 3. So a lot of drivers here having an incident, as much as we just saw one of the traffic cones go flying. So many of these drivers have all had at least one pretty major incident, one way or the other. We did see Ben Ferguson serving that penalty there in race 2. We are cutting to a VRS replay here. Gonna see what had happened there. Yeah, car 11 of I think Ray Harrison there spat through the inside, and unfortunately they heavily tagged the that corner there of Philip Paradiso, and it's just put cars absolutely everywhere. I think another downshift car there as well.
Indeed, but that was a separate incident that had already happened through turn number 3. So that was absolute chaos to start that race. We're back with live pictures for a moment, but hoping to queue up another replay for you folks to get an idea of what happened there. Here it is, thanks to Jake Kennedy. So get a chance to have a look at it. And we're being told Brendan McMillan, in fact, you can see there in the 115, McMillan trying to go around the outside of Van Egmond. And oh no, cold tires. And there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that is not too good. Anthony Connors there in the Race Lab entry. He's out. He was out of that one.
I think Eric Fence was a big loser in that as well. Just had one of those MX-5s completely spat across the front of him. So heavy impact there. I think that's put Eric Fenson all the way back down to 31st position. So I think he's either had to take the tow hook. So great pace there by Eric Fenson. That is going to be really hard for his championship this season.
Yeah, definitely ruining the opportunity that once was and could have been, but going to have to keep our eyes here on the fighting further up the field. But ourselves here, the battle for 7th place. Christopher Tomlin looking to fend off Dylan Cantor, but meanwhile, directly ahead of them, it's still continuing. It's Mark Foster. They're trying to get around the lapped Ray Harrison, who's still out on track, and it's actually causing a bit of problems, possibly, because all of a sudden, Mark has just been dropped right into Christopher's lap, although at the same time, he's looking behind him because here comes Dylan up the inside at turn 10.
Yeah, great overtake there by Dylan Cantor. Absolutely lined that one up. Took that inside line. Too many tricks in all that as well. We might see potentially a bit of a counter attack there, but he's holding that line in really tight there, so he really needs to kind of push and get back onto the back there of Mark Foster.
Indeed, they'll be definitely hoping to, but the way through the penultimate corners, these two scrapping a little bit more than I would like in terms of preserving momentum, because in a car like this that doesn't have a huge amount of power, you definitely want to try and set moves up as early, well, set them up early, but really try and time it for nice and late in the straight. But nevertheless, Christopher gets back up, well, gets alongside Dylan here early on the straight, so it's going to be a drag race all the way down the front stretch here, which feels like it must feel like an age here in a car like this, but Dylan's late on the brakes around the outside of turn 1. There's no grip there, I don't think, Dylan, because the rubber hasn't built up. Though in saying that, he's able to hold it through turn 2. So we're going to stay side by side into turn 3, but surely now Christopher on the inside can keep the advantage. Answer is no. Dylan's going to get a nose ahead. Meanwhile, I'm seeing Eric Fenson being black flagged by race control. Now, very curious, because we thought for a second that he might have been involved in lap 1. And he's certainly a long way down the field. I might go jump back and have a look at lap 1 on my own here in a second, Nick, and I'll leave you with the live pictures, and I'll just try and see what Eric's been penalised for.
Yeah, exactly right. It might have been potentially a rough rejoiner there, or driving with, as we just see, big hip and shoulder there. I think that's between, car 13 there, car 15. So it's just seeing action all over the track there. up on car 72, Dave Gogol. Sorry, that was Brandon Eastwood there. So Brandon up 20 positions there, as you can see, just picking his way through the field there at the moment there. He's got absolutely a train of cars there. I think that is Brandon Walters and Ray Holland as well. So part of the carbon group, the carbon eggplant and all the carbon vegetables, they always come out there and have a really big presence there in the endurance events here that we run for the MX-5s. We are going to cut to a VRS replay of that.
So I've just, meanwhile, this action's been going on. I'll come back to us, this fight here with Dave Gogol in the McLaren replica paint job. And is there, oh no, drama in the live pitches. Oh, cars round at the final corner. It is all going off. Meanwhile, on the right side of screen, this is why Eric Fenson got the penalty. His car already heavily damaged indeed. Had nowhere to go and plowed through one of the spinning cars. You see that right front already collapsed and has got there under the brakes and straight into the side of Shane Seddon in the number 25. So trying to limp that car back to the pits, but just a little bit too fast for that corner and what the car was able to do there. So bit of an oopsie there on Eric's part, I have to say then, in that case. So penalty deserved, in my opinion. Meanwhile, the racing continues, currently for position number 2. But Matt Van Egmond should be our net leader, if I'm not mistaken, after pit stops eventually need to occur, as both Terry Knowles and Neil Mckenzie ahead of him have only taken one stop so far over the course of this evening in the AM class.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were saying a little bit earlier on before, Matt Van Egmond can really show quite a lot of brilliance here, so definitely having a great showing here around Barcelona. Doing a really good job there in behind Terry Knowles. Terry Knowles, you'd have to say, has actually had a bit of a quiet run there. Hasn't really been fighting. We've been catching too much of the live pitches of Terry Knowles there, but has just been chipping away and getting it done in the background, which is exactly what you want to do there. Maybe a few of the other cars we've seen on the broadcast there might be getting quite a lot of airtime for maybe all the wrong reasons there, but Terry Knowles doing an excellent job there, up in that second place at the moment.
And meanwhile, here we go from the lead of the race. Neil Mckenzie brings that car down onto the lane. Get that second pit stop cleared. I'm running out of time here for Terry to actually get his second stop cleared, if I'm not mistaken. Because, yeah, lap number 6 started by these guys out of 7. So surely we'll have to come down the lane on the next one to clear that second pit stop that he needs to do here, Nick.
Yeah, Matt Van Egmond, so strong on the brakes there, Terry. Yeah, handing that position over relatively easily. So Terry knows that coming into the pits next lap there, so not really necessary to take any major risks there. Jeez, I think we've seen which car was that. I think that might have been Jamie Budd there. Had all 4 wheels well and truly off the track there, so that not too sure if that would be a slowdown, but looks to be keeping the boot in, so maybe that was definitely a 1X or potentially there. So
it was Ray Harrison actually directly ahead of Jamie there, Nick. He was the one who was up and over the curb. Definitely risky from Ray because he's a lap down on all of these cars here who are making their way around turn number 4. He needs to really get out of this battle pack and make sure not to trip any of these guys up. As we see at the front of the field, front of this pack, it's Christopher Tomlin still fighting with Dylan Canto. These two keep this fighting up, and once this pack can clear Ray, they'll be all over the back of him in a moment's time. But Ray's still trying to keep some racing speed here, so the guys are going to have to make their way through a little bit more carefully than they perhaps would like. And it's just stretching the group out a little bit and giving everyone that breather they need to be able to actually focus on the car ahead rather than worry about defending a car directly behind them. Make their way onto the back straight here. Just over 1 lap to go for these guys, so not long left in terms of getting a chance to make a move here to finish this one off.
Yeah, actually, just to touch back to what you were talking about there, I did think Roderick Hollis potentially had contact with that lap car, so you can imagine he'd be pretty upset there. Bit of a contentious etiquette thing, I think sometimes it comes down to with cars getting the blue flag. They really need to let other cars there battle it out when they need to. So a bit unfortunate. We are going to cut to a VRS replay.
Indeed. So what do we have here? In fact, this is just this group here as they make their way up the hill out of turn 7 and 8. Ray Harrison on the inside. He's got Roger Hollister making their way past. But then just... Oh, no! Oh, that's not gone well at all. In fact, that's... Oh, I'm not very impressed to see a car. It's a lap down, turning a car that's on the lead lap and in a battle pack. That is definitely not what you want to see on track.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, potentially it might have been a concertina effect because it might have been contact, but from that camera angle, it was a bit tricky to see there. We did see Terry Knowles has not taken that second pit stop yet, so potentially his strategy coming a little bit unstuck there. Maybe not completely understanding the rules there, so he is going to come through. Well, at the moment in second place there, but might end up getting shuffled down the order with a post-race penalty.
Well, certainly will be having to, well, will be hit with a penalty from race control. After this one is all said and done, definitely not what he needed in terms of clearing the requirements. Meanwhile, our eyes need to be on the battle pack here. Still with 6th for Dylan Canto and Christopher Tomlin, but now that Ray Harrison is out of the picture, these guys have closed back up a bit here on this final lap. So here's where the pressure needs to be, down to turn number 10. What can Christopher Tomlin do? What can Jamie Budd do? Bard Rodkin and Ben Eastwood at the back of the pack. Oh, goodness me, 3 wide into turn 10, and that's not gone well. Oh, good. Dylan Cantor, the biggest loser of them all. In fact, oh my goodness. Jamie Budd, though, he went off the track on the inside, so I'm not quite sure that would be what we call a fair and square move. Nevertheless, front of the field, it's going to be Matt Van Egmond to take the win in race number 3, having cleared the stops in races 1 and 2. Terry Knowles second across the line, but penalty guaranteed from race control afterwards for not pitting twice tonight. Jesse White-Carrick comes home 3rd ahead of Mark Foster and Ben Ferguson. Here comes that pack across the line. And it was ended up being Bard Rodkin to lead Jamie Budd. Ben Eastwood followed by Christopher Tomlin there. Philip Paradiso comes home ahead of Dylan Canto, putting him out of the top 10. And Dylan doesn't look like he's too happy. Please don't wreck someone after the race, Dylan. Yeah, that was close.
Yeah, so always seems to be action aplenty here. Every time with these MX-5s, the last lap, everything kind of quickly unravels there. So we are seeing, I think that is Jamie Willits and Wade McCulloch. They're coming over the line, but yeah, saw so much action there, trying to unpack it all there on that last lap. So definitely a couple of winners in that. Winners obviously being Matt Van Egmond and then quite a few people unfortunately losing out at the very last minute, such as Dylan Canto. So
yes, indeed. Indeed. We'll have the results for you in just a moment's time. A couple of cars still out on track finishing, but we can bring up the results for you now. Once again, Matt Van Egmond able to bring home a race win here in the AM division, pulling off the strategy to a T there to secure the win. Terry Knowles on second on track, but once again, will be serving a penalty almost certainly after that one there. He was followed home by Jesse White-Carrick in 3rd. It was Mark Foster who was able to come home 4th. And then Ben Ferguson in 5th. And then that big pack that we were just looking at turn 10 there at the end of the race. Bard Rodkin was able to get at the front of the pack and lead home Jamie Budd, followed by Brinley Eastwood. Apologies, there we go. That's who B Eastwood is. I'm having a real hard time with first names only and, well, initialized. But nevertheless, Christopher Tomlin in P9 and Philip Paradiso able to sneak forward into 10th place here, Nick, as we head over the page.
Yeah, an awesome result there for Philip Paradiso, especially having that big accident in race 3 there. Dylan Canto there. I think Jamie Pinkin, Neil Mckenzie there, we saw take his strategy, getting him there into 13th place in the last race there. Roger Collis, Greg Holmes there, Darren Linus, John Thorne, I think Aidan Gregory, Graham Ellis there, and C. Lewis in 20th position.
Chad Lewis there indeed. Over the page, once again, Brennan Moulton coming home in 21st place, followed by Matthew Seddon for 22nd. Wade McCulloch leading home Jamie Willits there. We saw at the end of the race there for 23rd and 24th respectively. Shane Seddon back in 25th. I don't think that's where he would want to be after that one. Dave Gogol further behind him in 26th, and then Eric Fenton, our last car on the lead lap after that incident and penalty for him, 27th. And then our lap down finishes, Ray Harrison, a bit controversial there towards the end of the race in terms of where he was in position relative to the lead lap tracker. Anthony Collins taken out early on lap 1, unfortunately for him. And then Roberts coming home there in 30th place. And then Brendan McMillan, our last car, and 4 laps off the lead there. Not what he would want either, Nick. So frantic opening set of races there for the AM division. Our first points paying round for the AM class in a sprint format. I'll be back next week for Phillip Island. Unfortunately, I'll be missing out on that round due to other commitments on Tuesday night. So I have to leave commentary in your capable hands, Nick, for that one there. A similar track in sense. There's plenty of mostly fast corners and a lot of flow. It'll be our first combined round of the season, so a longer race 2 up for that one there, and slightly different strategy requirements as a result. So it'll be interesting to see how that one pays out afterwards, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Phillip Island definitely such a favourite within the Simworx Roadster Rumble. So it'd be great to see, a lot of drivers have a lot of track time there, and it is great seeing all the MX-5s out there. It's a big circuit there, so it can take, being a combined round, so it can take plenty of cars there, and I'm sure we'll see. Much like tonight, we'll see plenty of action, I'm sure of it.
Indeed, it should serve up a good one. We'll be taking a short break here, folks, as we get ready for the Pro Division and Pro-Am Division. They're on track together in just a moment's time for their race here at Barcelona. We'll be back with you in just a minute here, folks.
Are you new to sim racing, or maybe a veteran struggling to reach the next level? Have you ever wondered how the aliens reach impressive lap times that seem impossible to achieve? If so, you're not alone. Most drivers reach a certain level and get stuck. But getting faster on track is easier than you think. VRS coaches are some of the best sim racers in the world and offer one-on-one driver skills training at affordable rates to help new drivers learn the basics and help experienced drivers break through to the next level. Are you ready to get faster and get off the iRacing roller coaster? If so, VRS one-on-one personal training is for you. If you've invested in your equipment, it might be time to invest in yourself. Just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a 30, 60 or 90-minute session with one of our world-class coaches, and you'll learn exactly what to do for faster lap times and more podiums.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction, he's got rhythm, both of them! Maloney! Oh, he's taking Anderson! Anderson's up top! Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Six very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Welcome back to SimSpeed TV. Here on a Tuesday night for you folks means we're here with the Simworx Roadster Rumble for round number 2 of season number 3. Time for the Pro and Pro-Am divisions to come out onto track for their races. We've got just over 10 minutes left in practice at the time being, so we've got a little bit of time to sort of chat and have a look at the initial pace that's on display here from the guys in this class, and definitely seeing just a little bit more speed out of these guys here. My name's Daniel Yeaman. I'm with Nick Sgrave in the commentary box once again, and Jake Kennedy on production as always here. Well, I say as always, Jay does take a break from time to time, and also there is Scott Fontaine as part of the production crew for SimSpeed, so indeed. But here's the tracks. Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. See there, 4.65 kilometers in length, just under 2.9 miles is what that converts to. And well, the overlays say 9 corners. I have my timing says 13, and I suppose if you go around the track, you'd probably do count them up and add them, but plenty of flow around this circuit, and plenty of load around here. With relatively short races tonight, I don't expect to see the tyre wear be too much of a problem, as well as the fact that these cars are relatively low power and being rear-wheel drive as well. You're not loading the fronts extremely hard like you would a TCR car, for example, but nevertheless, historic layout in use once again, so we skip the Grand Prix chicane at the end of the circuit, meaning that Europe car corner, turn number 12, is a fast-flowing setup for the final corner, and turn 10 is the wider, longer hairpin of sorts, but nothing like the old Grand Prix hairpin that is currently available on iRacing. So, once again, here is the series schedule for the Roadster Rumble Season 3. Started off last week at Spa with a 300-kilometer endurance race. Here this week for round number 2 at Barcelona for our sprint round. And then for the pros, we head to Imola next week for what's called a combined round, which is to say 2 races, second race being about double the length of race 1. We head back to Road America for the endurance round once again, and we'll see that means all of the driver divisions will be on track at the same time. And then the pros head to Barber Motorsports Park for their next sprint round, so another deviation from the AM class there. Road Atlanta for the combined round after that, and then Coda is our third endurance round. Donington National, the final sprint. Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve at Montreal for the final combined, and then bringing everyone back together for Bathurst for the season-ending endurance race. So, quite a lot of world-famous circuits on the calendar here in both the Pro and the AM divisions, and just a couple of variations there along the way. So, just keeping an eye on things now. Just ticked under 9 minutes remaining in practice, so hopefully get a chance to have a look at the times as they stand. It's definitely a very close bunch. As you see here, currently on track, Glenn Wood and Cooper Allen out on practice laps and working their way up the hill out of turn 7 and 8. And they're currently being followed by the ever-blinking Matthew Hansford-Taylor. It's probably not the kind of thing you want to be seeing, to be honest. And interesting paint job there for Matthew with quite the cow theme going on. But we'll leave that be, because on screen now, your provisional practice time leader, it's Jack Boyd. And that's no real surprise to those who know Jack and his skill across quite a multitude of car categories. And also been a regular here for the Simworx Roadster Rumble now in the MX-5 class for a couple of seasons, if I'm not mistaken. So out in front he is, but it's not by much. 3/1000ths of a second is all he's got in terms of a gap to position number 2. times in this pro class are going to be insane, I think. And with the... Well, at least at the front of the field, you see there 4 cars inside 1/10. There is a bit of a gap back to Sonny Kanchan, who's actually tied with it should be Brenton Hobson should actually be up there as well, apparently, because I'm seeing an identical time for those two, give or take a little bit. Although, interesting, I can't see Hobbo on the broadcast overlays. Am I blind? Yes, I can see his P5, but why does the overlay only show Sonny Kanchan in P5? That is a $1 million question, Jay.
It is showing Brenton Hobson there in position 10, so we just need to change the battery in the watch. Here we go.
Ta-da! Well, look, good thing it's a practice session and we get a chance to make sure everything's working after coming across from the AM division. And unfortunately, Hobbo there, sending it down into the fence at turn 10 as we're talking about him. So, not quite the look there on screen. So we'll have a look here at Jack Boyd as he makes his way around, continuing to do practice laps. Currently, a half a second off where he wants to be, but he just set a personal best in Sector 1, apparently. Unless that's because he's setting personal best since we joined the server. I bet you that's what it is, actually, because I'm sure Jack's going quick at the moment, but given he's got the fastest time on the in the server, if he's not setting purple sectors, he surely can't be extending his lead here at the moment. But nevertheless, who am I to know? I'm just a lowly commentator here, Nick.
There's actually one thing to notice as well. So they have fixed, brought the car back into the spray booth there and and put the Boyd Racing logos there on both sides this time. So they have updated their paint. And last time we were making a bit of a joke there at Spa-Francorchamps. They're having the paint there on one side, so denoted by the different colours of the wheels there. I think that is Glenn Boyd there, so noted there with the silver wheels as well. Jack with the black coloured wheels, so should make it reasonably easy to see from a distance there. Car 58 coming around there. We're just going to have a look at a few others. Oh, boy. Big slide there from Luke Claver there in car 34, so...
And a good old crash there for Luke, unfortunately. Yes, indeed. It seems it must be a quirk of the the iRacing team paint that they uploaded, perhaps, because unless they just fixed it up for this week, I could have sworn the Boyd Racing cars were all fine and well back at round 0 when they were racing at Watkins Glen, if I'm not mistaken, Nick. So maybe a glitch of some kind with the uploading of the paint for the team's event last week. As we see here at the moment, Caleb Patterson doing far too many spins and slides and a neat little 360 in the 888, but probably not helping those who are trying to get a little bit more practice in at the moment before we get to qualifying here.
Yeah, absolutely. They're just all trying to find their feet there at the moment. So, pardon me, car 43. I think it is Caleb Patterson there. So, Downshift having a great representation here tonight.
That they are. It's...
Yeah, campaigning quite a few cars.
Yeah, there's 3 here in the Pro Division that were all out on track near each other. Currently, also, Tame Venables has gone and snatched that practice time lead off of Jack Boyd to the tune of 7/100ths of a second. So, these guys, they've got the pace in the MX-5. I mean, at the moment, practice is potentially misleading because we will be lone qualifying in a couple of minutes' time. So that will obviously mean that there is a little bit less straight line speed up for grabs in these cars, and it means that you aren't reliant on having a teammate on track with you. It's all about you and the track and no other distractions. So that will possibly even out things a little bit. And just seeing here a couple of different strategies down into the final corner. I just watched, I believe that was Damien Seeger in the 767, just grind to the curb. Sorry, it's Mosman Ross in the 767, grind to the curb. While Caleb Patterson in the 888 went around the big fat yellow curb there just before the final corner, Nick. So bit of late practice experimentation here going on perhaps, but definitely be curious if someone tries some of that kind of stuff because that might be a bit risky come the race.
Yeah, absolutely. We just it seems we're watching all the cars finding a different way of crashing there. I think we've just seen Moz, I think that is Moz Mroz 767 off the circuit as well there. Having a good look there at car 99 of Ray Oliver. So Ray Oliver there in the Pro-Am category there. So we did see them put in a pretty good showing at some of our endurance rounds last week. So you can see just how close they run the gauntlet there. You see sparks coming off. We're just seeing a couple other MX-5s there, one upside down.
Good thing they're both from Carbon Esports. I was quite interested. I just watched the 101 that was Joel Proctor behind the wheel opt to take the alternate layout and use the track extension, which then comes back onto the back stretch with that sharp right-hander. So, but when he did so, he then immediately took out his Carbon teammate there. So it was Lucas McAuliffe in the 202. So probably not the thing that they want to practice too much. Although I suppose you could call that for in case of emergencies, perhaps, there, boys.
Yeah, you'd have to say many of these teams would be all in well contact with each other throughout the night, so maybe just having a bit of a play around. I know that the Carbon guys keep it pretty loose on how they work, but great practice for sure there, and you'd have to say their practice working out there for Tame Venables there, so he's topping our practice there at the moment. So we're going to see our 10 minutes of qualifying, so being a heat race there, they will qualify on their own.
Meanwhile, in shot just there as we're talking about people doing good stuff in practice, the number 15, Bailey Fred aboard the Purple Pursuit Sim Racing MX-5, deciding to throw the car into the fence, and the car just blew its motor on pit entry, downshifting into gear, presumably. So maybe the pro drivers here letting off a bit of steam before we get qualifying underway. As the session ends, the pit lane clears, and we'll get some cars out on track setting qualifying times in just a moment here. So, slightly dramatic ending to practice there, Nick, with a couple of things going on, but cars coming out on track now to start their out laps for qualifying.
Yeah, so we are going to hopefully have a bit of a look, maybe at a bit of a couple of onboards and stuff. I know that we're discussing during the ads there about the OM Motorsport car there doing an excellent job. They're kind of almost catching everyone by surprise, getting that enduro done there. So they completely forgot. I think because I was racing it, but they had won the last season's Bathurst enduro as well. So, as we're just seeing, big slide there. Keep it off the wall. Don't have to go too much back to the pits there. Jeez, I don't think there's going to be much in the way of tyres left. I think, what car is that car?
That was the number 69, and I'm going to presume it's Brody Cook. For some reason opting to go for the Japanese drift spec warm-up lap at the moment. He's still currently doing some massive slides there. Not quite sure why. Meanwhile, we'll have a look here at Brenton Hobson, another regular to the series. You see it just doing a bit of weaving back and forth there as he comes up to turn number 9. And drivers will have to be very careful here. Off track there at turn 9 on the exit curb is incredibly nasty, so we'll have to make sure that they keep the car nice and steady and set themselves up nicely, at least on lap 1 here, because you don't want to throw away one of your 2 laps when it comes to setting a time here, I would say, Nick. Although I'm not quite sure if it's lap 1 or lap 2 that will be the fastest in terms of pure pace there.
Yeah, just having a really good look at that. The Wave Runner livery there for Brenton Hobson, so definitely one to watch. I think what was it? He was definitely contending for the season win last season. So yeah, it was very much almost turning into a bit of a 2-horse race there by the end between himself and Jack Boyd. So I think he's definitely going to have definitely going to be a lot harder this this season with the likes there of Tame Venables and Owen Coleman and yeah, so definitely maybe a few cats amongst the pigeons, that's for sure.
Well, definitely some new faces to the series this season, but they've been bringing the pace here in the Pro Division and definitely here to stay and make a name for themselves. Well, just keeping here an eye on Hobbo as he makes his way around the first qualifying lap, all looking nice and tidy here for him as he heads down the hill to turn number 5, opening up the corner quite nicely. A little wide of the apex there, though. It's not quite what he would want, I would think, but maybe just able to maintain corner speed there to not let up there. And excellent to be able to see here, side by side with onboard and external shots up the hill through turn 7 and 8, using just about all of the available track width. I'm sure you can get away with a bit of that exit curb like that as he comes up the hill to turn 9, clipping the anti-cut there, which is probably not the worst idea, as long as that wasn't too far on the inside, but all looks okay. Brenton keeping the pace up here down to turn number 10 and staying out nice and wide to open the entry here. And all over that apex curb nice and early. And back on the power early for good measure up the hill. Keeps it relatively tight here to open up the run through turn 11. So he's going to be one of the first cars to set a time as well. So coming up now to turn 12, Europe car corner. Old historic style. Get that car up and over the apex curve pretty much. Nice and flat, you can use it. And then here into turn 13, smashes the big orange anti-cut, or yellow anti-cut, sorry, there. Pretty much running the left side tyres past the edge of it. Across the line, does the lap count? The answer is it does. Brenton Hobson at 201.6, so here come the lap times as they're clocking in. It's Tane Venables with provisional pole on the 201.157, so definitely draft was probably a benefit, but nevertheless, just saw there's Sean Doyle coming across the line. Sean has put himself in 12th provisionally and is one of our faster Pro-Am division cars, but meanwhile, good to see Caleb Hyde's returning to the series. Missed him at round 0 at Watkins Glen. Also didn't see him at the round 1 Enduro, but back here for the first of the points-paying sprint rounds. Makes his way up through turn number 11. He's yet to set a lap time, so he's a little bit behind some of the guys, but plenty of time here to finish this one off and start the second lap that he can do here in quali. Caleb, an experienced pair of hands in MX-5s. And you see there, getting that car well over the yellow anti-cut. And literally, it's the suspension on the car means he can actually drive straight over it with no dramas. It's something I don't see very often, but up on the board he goes, a 201.474. Unfortunately, not quite good enough for pole, but P3 is a decent start for him there, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. We will see these times come down for sure. We did see, I think by the end of, obviously it was probably getting a bit of a hand there with that draft, but we did see a whole bunch of cars well in that 2-minute bracket. So probably expecting, just as we see the tyres warm up a little bit more, we'll see that come down even more there. Cooper Allen doing an excellent job there, right amongst it there, currently in second place. So he's just about to lay down his second lap now. You see not so hard there on the anti-cut curbing there. You can see that clipping right on the inside. Quite an early apex there for Cooper Allen. We'll see if he makes an improvement there. 201.51. So that actually has put in there provisionally on that pole there as well. Jack Boyd putting in a fast lap too. Only 2/100ths of a second between them.
Indeed. Time's closing up now as drivers on this second lap here, just extracting a little bit more pace out of the car. And we'll be very curious to see how this all wraps up in a moment's time. Ben Snell on the 141 comes around the final corner, looking to improve on a 201.5. Can he do? The answer is yes. But unfortunately, it's only good for 7th provisionally, so maybe not quite where he wants to be. I mean, still only 3/10 off of the race lead, but you can see now 6 cars inside 1/10, Nick. The front of this field is going to be hectic, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, absolutely. You can just only imagine how hard we'll see some of these drivers will go into that first chicane, but as we say, that they do push very hard. Also really experienced. They're very good at giving each other plenty of room. Seeing car 99 there. I think this is Nick Wood as well. So Nick Wood running in that, I think he is a Pro-Am driver there. So We've seen some awesome work from Nick Wood in the past there in the touring cars as well as the MX-5. So definitely some really good brilliance. He'll be really trying to shoot for either a top 5 or a podium.
So here across the line, first lap didn't count, so the second one needed to. 201.8 does indeed count, but unfortunately that's only good enough for 18th place there for Nick. He's racing in the Pro Division tonight. Nicholas Scaife in the number 44, one of our last couple of drivers to complete qualifying. First lap wasn't too hot. It was a 202, but gets inside the 201s and is able to get himself up to 15th place on a 201.7. But see here now, only a handful of cars remaining out on track, including Daniel Webster, one of our Pro-Am class cars, making his way around the final corner now, looking to improve on a 202.29. Can he do it here? It looks like he should be able to as he gets across the line. Yes, indeed. Knocks off 2/10 there almost, and that's up to 22nd for Daniel as he finishes up the qualifying run. Next across the line there in the number 14, Glenn Wood, one of our Pro Class cars, jumps up to 15th place. So nice improvement there for him. A 201.66 is what he's able to put on there. You see there, looks like Brody Cook in the number 69, bringing his car down the pit lane, so abandoning that run. And same for Ben Snell in the 141, unless they've decided... Actually, correction, no. Brody Cook was all on lap 3, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to wager that Ben Snell was also on lap number 3. Yes, he was. So, that's qualifying done there, folks, so we can take a look here at the grid. Cooper Allen takes the pole position, 201.068. Only just nudges out Jack Boyd for that position with barely a tenth and a half, well, barely 200ths in it, sorry. They line up ahead of Sonny Canshin. Lee Harrison, didn't see him on lap number 1 in qualifying, but he jumps up into 4th place. And it's Brenton Hobson, followed by Tane Venables to round out our 3rd row. As we head over the page, Ben Snell alongside Caleb Hyde there for row number 4. I believe those drivers not able to improve on lap 2. Nevertheless, Owen Coleman, the first of our Pro-Am division cars, lining up alongside Todd George on row number 5, followed by Tom Huggan and Wayne Losh for row number 6 as we head over the page for you here, Nick.
Yeah, Bailey Frid there in 15th place there, Caleb Patterson, Glenn Wood down in 15th position there, Nicholas Scaife, one of our, also in the Pro there with Damien Mulqueen and Cameron Edwins, one of our Pro-Am cars. Damien Seeger, Nick Wood there on row 10. Row 11 there, Sean Doyle, Glenn Boyd, Daniel Webster and Lucas Mikulev there on row 12.
Indeed, a bumper field of cars here, 36 setting times and a total of 39 to get through here. So Brody Cook will line up alongside Scott Harvey on row 13, Barra Hodgson and Mos Moroz on row number 14. It's Joel Proctor and Carl Ridley, rounding out our top 30 cars here. And over the page for our final groups, Simon Joel Smith will be alongside Ray Oliver on row 16, Luke Claver alongside Andrew Hobby, Brenton Bull alongside Dennis Hancock for row number 18, leaving Matthew Hansford Taylor, Steve McMahon on row 19, and Ryan Barber, last car in the server, although he's had no time set in practice or quality, so not sure if we'll see Ryan on track tonight. Nevertheless, that would leave us with 38 cars all the same, and they're now on the grid awaiting the lights and flag, and maybe another 50 seconds here, but got a couple of, well, waiting on a couple of cars to make the grid here now, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Bumper field there, so all eyes are going to be on Cooper Allen there at the start. About 10 seconds or so to go, so they'll all be just double checking their strategy and already, I would say, have a plan in place.
Indeed, as a sprint round here tonight, once again for these Pro Class drivers, just like we saw earlier with the Pro-Ams, we'll need to complete 2 pit stops across the course of the 3 races here tonight. And as we saw with the round 0 Pro-Am versus Pro-Am rounds, slightly longer races here for the Pro Class. So there's only 1 extra lap for a total of 8, but that will obviously give a little bit more flexibility to these guys in terms of how they want this to play out. So not long now until we get the revs up, if I'm not mistaken, and indeed, I believe I can hear them coming up here now. So time to get this Pro Division underway here for Simworx Roadster Run. Well, there's the green lights, and away they go. Oh, slow start in the middle of the field, though. Wayne Losh had an absolute shocker from the mid-pack in position number 12. He's been absolutely swarmed as they make their way down to turn number 1, Nick.
Oh, gee seeing even cars going about 4 wide there, but it does look like they've given themselves room there. Have seen Cooper Allen there right up with that inside line there. Jack Boyd is going to be on that outside line there. Sonny Kenshin in that 3rd position there. Oh, Ben Snell spinning out there off. He has actually spun off the circuit there, so he's able to actually rejoin there. Super lucky for himself and the rest of the pack.
But meanwhile, further behind, 3 cars involved. Sean Doyle, Lucas McAuliffe, and Barra Hodson have all gotten tripped up through turn 2. Meanwhile, 3 wide, almost 4 wide once again in the mid-pack down to turn number 4. These guys are going at it 2 wide, though, at the front of the field. In fact, it's almost 2 by 2 as they head down to turn number 5 here for the first time, Nick.
Slide coming to that corner there by Cooper Allen, parking it right in front of Jack Boyd there. So defending super hard there. Do you see Sonny Kenshin there all the way up the inside there? Car 43, I think that is Tane Venables there. Up the front of Brenton Hobson. He's gone off onto the dirt there. Potentially would have to take a slowdown though. He will have to get through that corner first at least. Kind of out of the way of the pack there. It does look like car 28.
Meanwhile, in the back of shot, Todd George in the 626 for Carbon Esports. He's gone off there at turn 9. I didn't quite catch that, maybe given some assistance there. Side by side, still at the front of the pack. Jack Boyd is not letting Cooper Allen get away with anything. Oh, trouble at turn 10. Kyle Ridley's around in the middle of the corner. Everyone's had to dive out. Oh, stay still, Kyle, for a sec. Just wait. And now go. All right, there we go. He's able to get that car going again. But at the front of the field, Jack Boyd has jumped to the lead and immediately pulls to the lane. Cooper Allen, on the other hand, opts to stay out. So here comes the split strategies as the cars make their way to end lap number 1 here, Nick.
You did notice as well, Lee Harrison also into the pits there as well. Tane Venables, Tom Huggan, leader there of the Pro-Am. So he's going to also come in as well. You can see cars everywhere, noticeably as well. Ben Snell's also in. So you can see a lot of people preferring that early pit strategy.
Indeed. So here's a have a look at turn 1, lap 1 once again here. So Sean Doyle got a little rub through turn 1, but unfortunately he's lost it all by himself through turn 2. Cold tyres there, just maybe catching him out of fraction, and has to do a quick little 180 to get that car going again once the pack clears. Well, here come the cars off the pit lane. Jack Boyd has actually been, they've still led the cars off pit lane, but Lee Harrison, if I'm not mistaken, he may have jumped Sonny Kenshin there in the pits. They're followed out by Tane Venables, Tom Huggan, Damon Mulqueen, Ben Snell, Wayne Losh, and Glenn Wood, and Cameron Edwards, Andrew Hobby, Damien Seeger, Brenton Bull, Barra Hodson, Joel Proctor, and I believe that rounds out the cars. I believe it goes on even further. In fact, yes, so everyone from Jack Boyd in 19th down to the back of the field has now taken a pit stop. So you see if Jack Boyd under pressure immediately from Lee Harrison here through turn 4 and down to turn 5, Nick.
I was just about to say, you'd have to say that the smart money is there if you're Lee Harrison. Just jump on the back of Jack Boyd and just hold on and just try and sit in there, because even though it is a sprint race, you've got to really start the focus on the second and third race and see where that puts you. You can see Sonny Kenshin there a little bit further back there. Sonny Kenshin about just over a second or so behind, so he'll be pushing pretty hard there to try and jump on the back of these two. You can see there Lee Harrison there not pulling any moves now. He's just starting to sit in a little bit more. Up the road though, Dennis Hancock being the last car there in 18th position. He's about 13 seconds or so adrift to these guys, so he'll be well and truly up the road pretty safe. We are going to see quite a few more cars come through, but you can almost say that that's technically our pit net leader. We have seen Cooper Allen there, Bailey Frid and Caleb Patterson all coming into the pits now.
Indeed, this will be good to see here, because Cooper Allen came into the pits from the lead of the race as Jack Boyd, having just taken it off him there on lap 1, comes around the final turn now and onto the front straight. Does Cooper Allen get away here in time? He gets away, but he's actually going to get jumped out of the lane by Bailey Frid. Now, can both of these guys hold off Jack Boyd, who's going to be coming into shot in a second? The answer is no. Jack Boyd and Lee Harrison both go by. The lap 1 pit stop works out beautifully for those two guys. And Cooper Allen goes from net second, maybe, even net first, down to net 4th. He's got Sonny Kenshin, up to speed, looking to make that 5th off track. Oh no! Trouble out on track. Luke Claver and Mosma Roz have gotten together at turn 4. Thankfully, they're out way deep in the gravel, so that's not going to affect anyone unless someone completely misses the corner here. Oh, but rejoining now on track is Luke Claver. And he's able to keep it to the left side of the track, which shouldn't be a problem, but Bailey Freitas to tuck back in behind Sonny Cancher, not able to capitalise there, and it means we're going to have to go to a virtual racing school replay to see what happened there, Nick.
Yeah, we'll have to say, I think that is Luke Claver a little bit behind there. You'd have to feel for Miles Morales. I don't think he's actually had the chance to race there. Gee, that's some really high-speed contact, and you can see how hard there Miles Morales was into the wall, so you have to say they'd be pretty disappointed with that. Quite an avoidable incident, so I'm sure there will be a penalty coming someone's way for that. Just looking there. Gee, a very late pit entry there. Oh, almost thought that was a big slide there, car 92. Caleb Hyde, so haven't seen too much of Caleb this season. Obviously, this is his first race back, so he'll be definitely one to watch. He'll be in the mix there. While plenty others are trying to fight the championship, he'll be really pushing that pace.
Yeah, you'd think so, but he's now currently out all by himself at the lead of the race. Does mean I would expect if he chooses to take a pit stop here in race 1 that he'll have to, well, he'll fall back through the order in races 2 and 3. And if he takes the pit stop now, he'll fall behind Jack Boyd and that pack who are sort of working together with a bit of bump draft. Meanwhile, out of the pits is a lot closer between Boyd and Hobson. Brenton Hobson's actually going to be able to get ahead. So this is actually really crucial here. If Caleb Hyde's opts to come down the lane now, he was half a second behind Hobbo. So if his in-lap here is any good, he might have a chance at staying up with the lead of the race. Meanwhile, though, I say that, Hobbo's just lost the net lead of the race, pending any pit stops from the drivers ahead through turns 2 and 3 there. Both Boyd and Harrison are going to file on through. So still might not be a bad option for Caleb to pit here. Would slide himself right back into the pack. The lead is still holding. He's got about 28 seconds or thereabouts to Jack Boyd, the lead of this train here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Just also looking through the ticker as well there. So Luke Claver with that incident with Miles Morales earlier, receiving a penalty for that. So not too much of a surprise for that one there. You'd have to say almost for Sonny Kenshin there, just really pushing hard to hold that pace. So you can see kind of that gap. Hasn't really been able to close onto the back there of Lee Harrison, and kind of dropping Brenton Hobson into the mix there as well, as also actually pushed him back ever so slightly. You can actually see that first couple of corners there when Hobson rejoining, just that cold tyres. See Sonny Kenshin there pulling right out, so he's going to try and take that position off Hobson. Whether or not getting it done pretty cleanly there. I wasn't too sure if they were going to be travelling it side by side, but yeah, Sonny Kenshin pushing really, really hard to try and get onto the back there of Jack Boyd and Lee Harrison.
Indeed. I'd say Hobbo, smart head on his shoulders, knows it's best to let Sonny through there and stay with, or try and have a chance to stay with the leading two now, well, of Boyd and Harrison. And it doesn't hurt to be the one at the back of the pack getting a tow. Meanwhile, just up towards the front of the field, those who haven't pitted yet, it's Nicholas Wood and Nicholas Scaife here, currently fighting over second place on track, about 4.5 seconds back from Caleb Hyde, who's up ahead leading the race. At this stage, I don't see Caleb getting any benefit out of a pit stop at the moment, although with the way the majority of the field has pitted, probably putting himself in a rough position in terms of strategy for races 2 and 3. But at the same time, we'll have to wait and see here, Nick, but the majority of the field has opted for the race 1 pit stop.
Yeah, absolutely. As we were just kind of looking to our AM division there as well, it seemed like a lot of that smart money was trying to get those pit stops out early. See where you can get through there. You can see just how different a line difference there between Nick Wood and Nicholas Scaife there. Just pushing a little bit, not really being able to show a nose too much there. You can just see how late on the brakes there for Nick Wood in that orange and white 308 Mazda.
It's working in nice and deep into the corners, really making sure to maximise what grip and what braking that car does have to offer. In fact, he's pushed quite nicely through, and he's actually just been able to force a small error out of Nicholas Scaife. Meanwhile, back with Jack Boyd, Lee Harrison. Sonny Canshin has now caught them well and proper, and Brenton Hobson is still there with them. So here are the leading 4 that have pitted. They've got a small buffer back to the next group of cars. So see here, did anyone else come down the lane? The answer is yes. We've had Nick Wood and Steve Scott Harvey. Apologies there, I didn't double check. Is Scott Harvey, yes. Getting my names mixed up there, not too great. But those 2 guys have come down the lane, so they'll be swallowed up and sent back probably around 15th and 16th once their service is done. We'll see exactly. But nevertheless, our eyes are here with the leading 4. Anyone looking for a move into turn 1? The answer is not from Lee Harrison, but here comes Sonny Canshin. Under brakes, gets 1. And to be honest, I thought there was maybe a second on the cards if he went for the absolute send, but Sonny, another smart driver out there, surprisingly rocking Pro-Am class decals. Possibly a small mistake there from Sonny in terms of that one there, because he certainly doesn't count for the Pro-Am class here in this series, Nick.
Yeah, and also Lee Harrison losing another position there as well. So Brenton Hobson, or Lee taking a very sharp inside line there, but is sliding in behind. So Lee Harrison there, maybe a little bit flustered there. Sonny Canshin did an excellent job of taking that position away. There wasn't really that too much of a gap there, but Jack Boyd, cool as ever at the moment, just chipping away at it, just taking his lines where they are, and not really deviating too much. So you can see even before there, Jack Boyd not really defending too much there. He just such a demon under the brakes, can't really just outbrake everyone. You see Sonny Canshin there showing half a nose.
Sonny Canshin too deep in the corner though. He's taken Jack Boyd around. Oh, that's not too good. Sonny's been looking aggressive under brakes for the past couple of corners, and he's just gotten in too hot there. I think that's going to be a slam dunk drive-through penalty if that race control looks at that. Jack Boyd immediately drops the keybind in the in-game chat there. Not too impressed, I'm sure. Here's the virtual racing score replay, Nick, and here at turn 10, it's just too deep under brakes from Sonny, and not able to get alongside to make a clean pass there.
Yeah, to be fair of Sonny, he did redress the position, but obviously both of them losing a little bit. Only a couple of positions though, that does bring actually both of them into around 10th or 11th respectively, so would be curious to see. It was, Sonny was showing half of a nose there, and probably a little bit kind of outbraked himself, so surely it wasn't intentional by any means there, but just really goes to show just how hard our drivers are pushing tonight.
Indeed. Meanwhile, up towards the front of the field, drivers who are yet to pit. Nicholas Scaife still rides in second. He's now chased down by Glenn Boyd, the second of the Boyd racing cars, and they're followed behind. Well, Daniel Webster. They've got Daniel Webster, following them, not too far behind. 8/10 the gap between Boyd and Webster. He'll be looking to obviously close that up a little bit and make it a three-way fight proper for second, but with just over a lap to go here, Nick, it's going to take something from Webster there to make that happen, or a mistake from either Scaife or Boyd to really give him a chance here. Meanwhile, goodness me, look at this pack. It starts with Ben Snell, and that's at least 7 cars. I'm counting on my timing screen going all the way back to Edwards in 24th place there.
Yeah, Matthew Hansford-Taylor there, so we did see Hansford-Taylor there qualifying pretty sharp up near the front there. Super aggressive moves there on Ben Snell. I think he's having a slight... We did see him in practice there having a couple of technical difficulties with blinking in and out. Very recognisable paint scheme though with the count paint job. Has actually outran himself there, so yeah, very unlucky there for Hansford-Taylor. Potentially might be worth trying to sort out what technical difficulties he's had, because if it keeps on going, I'm sure he'll be getting a bit of a talk from the admin about it.
See there, the blinking isn't going to help his case in terms of being able to race fairly. Meanwhile, white flag has been taken by Caleb Hyde, but our eyes need to be on here. Lee Harrison going for the move finally. It's been he's been patient all race long and finally opts to make a move here into turn number 1. Looks like he's got the job done here for now, but in deep means he's a little vulnerable on exit, but Hobbo not able to close up just yet. Thinking about around the outside through turn 3. He's there now, side by side on the way up to turn 4. It's bringing Tane Venables into them to make this a 3-way fight for 7th. And what does Tane do here? Does Tane look for the inside here? But side by side, Hobbo gets a nice drive off the middle of the corner, nose ahead into turn 5, and the apex is his. Venables lets out of the brakes, tries to sneak up the inside of Harrison, but no dice. Just going to be the one position change there with, Hobbo getting the position back off of Harrison there. Meanwhile, Jack Boyd leading Sonny Canchin as they are not too far behind, as you said, able to recover relatively decently and fighting over 11th here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. We have actually just off screen as well. I think we did see a pretty big incident there between Wayne Losh and one of the other cars as well, so we might have to cut back to a replay of that. All eyes though on the front. All eyes are on the very front there with Caleb Hyde with a very lone win. 7 seconds adrift there from Nicholas Scaife, so potentially maybe gambled his position away maybe a little bit earlier on, seeing that really strong pace a little bit further back.
Indeed, it'll be curious to see how that plays out, but coming across the line, it's, I believe, there's Steve McMahon there for 5th place, coming home ahead of Dennis Hancock. Brenton Hobson's going to hold on to 7th here, ahead of Lee Harrison and Tane Venables. Those guys not shifting positions. End of the race. Oh, goodness me. Caleb Patterson out in the weeds. Nick Wood alongside. Who's going to get that position there? Patterson holds on by 0.05 of a second. Nearly threw that one away there at the very end, and someone's blown their motor on the front stretch with the possibly explosive downshift there, Nick.
Yeah, we're seeing lots of dust and lots of smoke everywhere after the finish line. Seeing Caleb Patterson, I think Nick Wood as well, off into the grass just before the start-finish line, but we will go through those positions now.
Indeed. Caleb Hyde's taking the race win there after opting not to pit in race 1. Led home Nicholas Scaife and Glenn Boyd there, a nice comfortable margin of 7 seconds. And Daniel Webster not able to close in as much as he'd like, but 4th place nevertheless. Steve McMahon for 5th place ahead of Dennis Hancock in 6th. And then that battle pack of drivers from the lead who did pit early. Brenton Hobson led home Lee Harrison, followed by Tane Venables and Bailey Fridge ran out our top 10 as we go over the page here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. There, Jack Boyd and Sonny Canchin, we did see that big incident there on the hairpin. Cooper Allen, Caleb Patterson, Nick Wood, Owen Coleman, Tom Huggin there. I think Tom might have been the... Owen Coleman, actually, the leader of the Pro AM. Tom Huggin, 2nd in Pro AM. Andrew Hobby, Ben Snell, Scott Harvey there in 20th position.
Over the page once again, Cameron Edwards in 21st, led home Matthew Hansford-Taylor after that attempt from Hansford-Taylor to get a pass on, not quite working there. Damien Seeger 23rd, Brenton Bull 24th, Damon Mulkeen 25th, Todd George 26th, Joel Proctor 27th ahead of Glenn Wood 28th, Barra Hodson 29th, and Wayne Losh 30th, and heading over the page to 31st. Yeah, Brody Cook there. Oh, sorry there, Nick.
That's all right.
I'll take it.
Sean Doyle there, having a big incident there. Lucas Mikulev also. All of our drivers at this end all having pretty major incidents there as well. Simon Smith, Ray Oliver, Moz Moroz, Luke Claver there, and Ryan Barber being our not taking the start.
Indeed, Ryan Barber, one of the drivers who are just not in the server at the time being. But now on the grid for race number 2. But in the meantime, lights on the way, and they're getting away. I was just listening to some race control chatter because Matthew Hansford-Taylor is being kicked from the race server while gridding up for race 2. So results from race 1 set the grid once again for race 2. Down to turn number 1, 3 wide maybe. But this is going to be a pressure cooker situation, I think, here, with a couple of guys who need to get pit stops out of the way here. Are we going to see the same drama as we saw in the AM class? I really hope not.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot happening there with that pit entry. We did see one of the Boyd racing cars there very far up the middle there. You can see Jack Boyd will be pushing really hard to get it back around. Oh, a big slide. Sliding all the way off. He's well and truly off the racing line, so maybe on a bit of the dirt there. I think that is Glenn Boyd there in 9th place. We did see a couple of MX-5s right off in the back of that shot also go off, so we're just really trying to get the elbows out, get that position at the moment.
That was Jack Boyd getting all sideways through turn 3 there, Nick. He's actually was fighting to get ahead of a couple of guys here, but he's actually been jumped by, I believe, 1 or 2 people, maybe. Actually, no, sorry, he's making his way through the field, my apologies. But I heard a couple of bangs and scrapes, but everyone's still on track and continuing on. Oh, goodness me, looking at almost 3 wide out of turn 7 and 8. That's not what I want to see. Goodness me, Daniel Webster's got Johnny Canch. Is that Benson up the inside for good measure? That's going to get a squeeze on. Oh, now all over the curb there at turn 9. I can't believe it, though. No one's gone around. No one's lost any major positions. It is obviously shuffling the field a bit. It's allowing Owen Coleman a chance at Sonny Canchin here. Down to the turn 10 for the first time. Most of the field has gotten through okay, but in fact looks like nearly all the field's going to get through okay. So great work from the Pro and Pro-Am division drivers here to make sure they're not tripping each other up too much. Now here comes the critical moment. Does anyone peel for the pits here on that one? Caleb Hyde needs to get stops done. Surely he's going to opt for the early pit stop, and indeed follows this example. Oh, goodness me, slow on pit entry. Oh, wowee. Steve McMahon waits around for no one and goes flying past. That was Nicholas Scaife. Goodness me, it's caused a bit of drama on pit entry, I think, because we're getting calls to race control.
So out of that shot there, I think we had Caleb Patterson there have a major accident somewhere coming onto that actual main straight there. We might have to cut to a replay. And I was actually caught by the live pictures there. What was happening in pit lane it was almost a bit of a car park, nose to tail contact with quite a few cars there. I think Nicholas Scaife there slow into pit lane and actually checked up everyone behind him. We are going to cut to a replay. I think this is going to be Caleb Patterson around the outside. I actually worked out what had happened. He did jump on the radio, so potentially might have been contact from behind. We'll have to work out. Yeah, he definitely was assisted there. Such a fast part of the circuit as well.
And yes, Andrew Hobby there in the number 12. Fortunately, that's not going to go down too well with race control, I'm sure. They've got their hands full, though. And in fact, speaking of it, Andrew Hobby has already been served the black flag from race control there. So here come the guys as they're making their way up the hill. It's Tame Venables leading Brenton Hobson. Both drivers having pitted in race 1. Now looking to make their way or get some track position here for race number 2. We're looking here at Daniel Webster, currently running in P6 behind Owen Coleman in P5. It's also a battle for second place in the Pro-Am division. And Dennis Hancock is the Pro-Am leader for the time being up ahead. But the way he's just been passed by Nick Wood, I suspect Dennis might fall back into the clutches of Coleman and Webster after not too long. Meanwhile, just looking back further afield, Caleb Hyde, having taken the pit stop, is now obviously leading that pack. He's currently 14th place on track, and he's actually got a buffer of almost over 2 seconds here to Bailey Frid, the next car in line. So that pack's going to have to do a bit of work to catch him if they want to actually close the gap up. And Brenton Hobson comes into the lane here at the end of lap number 2. So slightly different strategy from Hobbo, but nevertheless, we'll see how he comes out in comparison to those drivers who pitted.
Yeah, so Hobbo definitely going for that super early strategy there. See, Jack Boyd has just been under so much pressure there from a bunch of cars in behind. I think Cooper Allen being one of them. Cooper Allen there just flickering in and out. Hopefully he can get his network issues sorted. We've seen it being quite prevalent in this Pro-Am race here tonight. We see where Hobson comes out.
The answer is third of those who have pitted. So slots in behind Bailey Frid and able to get ahead of Steve McMahon and Jack Boyd. Boyd, though, doesn't wait around for McMahon and just sort of encourages him to open the door there through turn number 3. And McMahon, of his own volition, opts to not pressure that one too hard. Has actually gotten ahead of Cooper Allen there early in the lap, but Allen immediately straight up the inside of turn 4. Definitely not looking to wait around there from him. So these guys now making their way down to turn number 5, and a little bit of 2x2 going on. As you can see here, Jack Boyd looking to really take advantage of Hobbo being out on fresh tyres, possibly a little bit cold still, but Hobbo Just able to cover the outside enough to force Boyd back into line here, Nick.
You can see just how quickly they came up on him there. Oh, slight wiggle of the tyres there. You see that really preferred line there as they all really clip that anti-cut curb right on the inside there. Cooper Allen there. All 4 tyres there well and truly off the racing surface, so be wondering whether or not we get a slowdown for that. It would definitely be a 1X for sure there. Great defending there by Hobson though, but Jack Boyd just absolutely outbraking him in that hairpin.
Indeed. So another virtual racing score replay coming up on screen. Looks like we're looking at, lap 1, turn 1. Moz Moroz back of the field after what happened to him in race number 1. Definitely something he is looking to improve upon. And oh no, Moz, oh, that has got to hurt. Nothing he could do. It's accident already happened ahead of him. And he's just unfortunately come into the corner, and it's all gone wrong for him there. Meanwhile, back with live pictures as Owen Coleman makes his way around the outside of Dennis Hancock. Just getting ahead here before turn 4, and looks like that's job done from Coleman. So up into 3rd place on track, and as an aside, leading the Pro-Am class out on circuit at the moment. But you can see here now, Dennis is starting to be absolutely swarmed by guys. We've got now Ben Snell's joined the group and trying to get around the outside of Daniel Webster. Webster says no thank you, but isn't able to shake him off completely. So Snell's going to be able to sort of force the issue, but in the grass for Snell under brakes. That's a gamble he didn't really need to take. He just hops the car back over the curb. And I think lucky that only hops a 1X off track for his troubles as they make their way up the hill here. And lap 4 of 8, just approaching half distance here in this race. So these guys here all yet to pit in race 1, so they're looking obviously to try and put the pressure on, but it does mean that things for them, well, need to pit in race number 3 at this rate, at least for all these guys, as far as I can see.
Yeah, and it really has actually put Caleb Hyde's, you'd have to say, is probably one of the main ones at that really opposite strategy to the rest of them. So I think it's going to be I'm sure we'll see some clarity in the next race coming up as well, but it's really just trying to time your way through. I think that is Dennis Hancock there, so of White Knuckle Sim Racing coming in. White Knuckle, also one of the teams with quite a few drivers in here tonight.
Indeed. Nick Wood, Owen Coleman, and Dennis Hancock all down to the lane. Meanwhile, out on track, Ben Snell has finally dispatched of Daniel Webster, getting the little bit of draft there down the front straight. But to be honest, prime position for race number 3 does lie with Bailey Frid and Jack Boyd for the time being. Meanwhile, Sonny Canchin looking to fend off Steve McMahon and Nicholas Scaife here. McMahon getting a good... Sorry, it's Nicholas Scaife, sorry, we're on board with as they're coming down the front stretch. Cars coming out of the pits. Be careful here, boys. They've got to come on a track here. And it's a carbon car of Todd George for good measure around the outside. Canchin, though, on the brakes to the inside. Contact, 1, 2. Oh, no. Nicholas Scaife, he had a good run down the straight and has unfortunately now tangled with Steve McMahon. These two guys looking to get back underway again. Just got to be careful with the rejoin here. And so Wayne Losh goes around Nicholas Scaife. That there, unfortunately, a little ambitious from Sonny Canchin at first glance. We'll have to see what race control thinks of that one there, Nick.
Yeah, it's Nicholas Scaife, the big loser and all that. Sonny Canchin, only ever so slight tap, but you can, yeah, these MX-5s so easy to unsettle. Any side contact kind of really puts them out. We are going to cut to a replay here, so you can see there Nicholas Scaife almost kind of finding himself in a unique position there in the draft there with Sonny Canchin, but you can see Sonny G was well and truly a car length back there and hard on the corner. He was holding that inside line, so I'm sure we'll take race control a little bit of time there to try and work out exactly what had happened.
We'll see what they think. He was mostly alongside by the braking zone, but at the same time, Nicholas is looking to the outside there to make sure Todd George doesn't give him any issues there. Meanwhile, back at the front of the field for those who have already pitted, Jack Boyd's taken the lead of those, with the exception of Caleb Hyde, but he's looking to hunt down that gap. Cooper Allen's also gotten through now on Bailey Frid, and you can see here Frid is looking at the nose of Brenton Hobson. So Bailey here in the end part of this race just starting to lose a little bit of that speed that he who's showing, or at least maybe just a bit more of experience. Oh, that's wide to the final corner, and that's going to be a slam dunk overtake here for Hobbo down the front straight, you'd think. Just pulling up alongside now, down the front stretch, and yep, pulling ahead well before we even get near the braking zone here, Nick. So Bailey can fight this, but I think the job should be pretty well set and done. But he tries to open up the corner, and yep, Hobbo's going to slide the car across and cut that off. So job done from Hobbo, unfortunately there. Bailey Frid just a victim of his own unforced error there, I'd say, at the final corner.
Yeah, awesome onboard shot there. Onboard Brenton Hobson, you can just see how close they are up against each other. Here we are with Sean Doyle. And I think that is Kyle Ridley.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, these two, Sean having a bit of unfortunate luck a little bit earlier on there, but is well and truly up the order at the moment there in that third position. So he's working his own strategy there. We've seen, I think, all three of the white knuckle cars there of Scott Harvey, I think Dennis Hancock as well, have all been up around that top 5 position there. So white knuckle having a really good run here tonight.
Here's a decision I'm not sure I agree with, Nick. Just paying attention to the in-game chat, Nicholas Scaife just got given a black flag. And surely that's for that incident at turn 1 there with Sonny Canchin, and it was Steve McMahon who got tripped up in it as well. That seems awfully harsh. I mean, he's also on the attack, but he had Todd George on his outside that he had to keep an eye on, and he had Sonny Canchin coming up the inside there. So
yeah, it was a bit tricky from that camera angle. We were looking at whether or not he held his line there. So you did see that Sonny was holding it in really, really tight there, but it's just one of those things, I would say. Sean Doyle there, just getting past. I think that was Kyle Ridley there. So these two having a great battle between themselves.
Indeed. Currently fighting over third on track, and still doing a good job. They will have to pit in race number 3, though. Just having a quick look at the incident again with Canchin and Scaife and McMahon. And I mean, look, yeah, maybe in my opinion, it does. Yeah, Scaife did turn in first, probably a little early there, given that Canchin was alongside. But it seems a little harsh to me still to penalise a car that basically spun itself in that case, even though it did trip up another driver who was unrelated to the incident when they sort of slid out from the middle of the corner there. But nevertheless, race control is here for a reason, and they're the arbiter of those decisions. So that is going to be their decision, and I'm sure that is the drivers will accept that and move on from that one there. Nevertheless, that's looking out here on track. And Bailey Frid currently under pressure from Nick Wood. He's just lost the back of the guys who've gotten through on him. Brenton Hobson, Cooper Allen and Jack Boyd now all sort of skipped away a little bit here to the tune of about a second to a second and a half. They're looking to try and hunt down Caleb Hyde, but I think Caleb here's just got that buffer that he needs to hang on to 6th place here. It'll be good for his point score with a win and a P6, but looks like here for something. Oh, Bailey Frid though. Just as we're talking about the other drivers on track, deep through turn 10 has allowed Nick Wood well alongside here for turn 11. What can Nick Wood do here? Actually gets on the brakes early, tucks in nicely, and in fact gets an excellent run, forces an early defensive line out of Frid through the penultimate corner. And to be honest, Bailey here just looking like he's under a lot of pressure, not really executing the lines that he'd like to be able to pull here as they come down the front straight for start of their final lap of the race. Meanwhile, that battle continues. Ridley ahead of Sean Doyle here as they come through turn 3, but Doyle all over the back of Ridley. Oh, little tap to the rear bumper as those cars were finishing up the corner. That almost unsettled them, but able to continue on and keep racing here, Nick. These guys are going to work themselves all the way to the end here.
Yeah, very exciting final lap for these two, taking two very different lines here. You expect Sean Doyle is going to try and cross through underneath. Whoa! A bit too much gas there, I think, coming out of it. So he has actually lost a little bit of momentum there from that small slide. So it has actually put him outside of that kind of attacking range there of Bailey Frid. kind of handed potentially Bailey that third and final podium position. You can see these three coming up in behind there of Jack Boyd, Cooper Allen there, and Brenton Hobson. Been, you'd have to say, not to call it too early, but it's been pretty, pretty calm between these three. Not too many actions there. Gee, Cooper Allen pitching the car sideways over that anti-cut curb very, very early. He seems to have a habit of doing that, but coming over the line, I think that is Tane Venables.
Tane Venables opting not to pit here in race number 2, does get the race win here. Another healthy gap back to second place. It's Ben Snell who's going to get across the line there and bring a little bit of gravel with him for good measure. Meanwhile, who wins the battle for P3? The answer is Kyle Ridley. It's going to be the first car across the line ahead of Sean Doyle, and that's going to be Brody Cook here to round out the top 5. Good to see 3 Pro-Am cars up in contention there, and then here comes the rest of these guys who took a pit stop in race number 2 here. Caleb Hyde's first of the cars home that pitted, but still needing to make a pit stop in race number 3. Followed home by Jack Boyd, Cooper Allen and Brenton Hobson in quick fashion. Haley Frieda is able to hold off Nick Wood there for position number 10, and they're followed home by Sonny Canchin, Damien Seeger, Owen Coleman and Dennis Hancock. So someone's blown their engine again with a downshift spam. So it's clearly a pattern and not something out of the order. So cars coming across the line here now, and we'll get the results for you here, folks, shortly. And prepare ourselves for race number 3 here as cars continue to race themselves all the way to the line. Lee Harrison back down in 30th. Now, that doesn't seem quite right. Oh dear. 37 seconds. So that's not gone too well for Lee. We'll hopefully get a reason for what's happened to him there. Long pit stop. Nevertheless, Tane Venables comes home with the race win there in that event there. Just make sure I grab a picture of that there. Sorry, folks. And Ben Snell, as we said there, second place, 8 seconds behind. Kyle Ridley in third place, followed by Sean Doyle and Brody Cook rounding out the top 5. Caleb Hyde's leading the pit stop takers home in P6, ahead of Jack Boyd, Cooper Allen, Brenton Hobson and Bailey Fried to round out our top 10 as we head over the page here, Nick.
Yeah, so we did see Nick Wood there defending off Sonny Canchin. Todd George, we didn't see too much of him and Damien Seeger, so they've all been chipping away. Owen Coleman there in 15th. Dennis Hancock in their Pro-Ams as well. Ahead of teammate Scott Harvey there. Cameron Edwards, Damien Mulqueen there. And Tom Huggin there in 20th position.
And over the page once more, it was Wayne Losh down in 21st place, followed by Daniel Webster in 22nd. Lucas McAuliffe 23rd, ahead of Barra Hodson 24th. Ray Oliver 25th. Joel Proctor 26th. Steve McMahon 27th. Caleb Patterson 28th, and a little bit further back than I think he would like, but he'll get one more race here to redeem himself. Luke Caver 29th, and Lee Harrison down in P30 off the that's definitely off the pace, but a long pit stop, possibly taking too many tyres, we think, at this stage. And a couple more drivers over the page, finishing that second race there. It's going to be Simon Joel Smith was 31st. Andrew Hobby 32nd, Nicholas Scaife there, spin and penalised for 33rd, Glenn Boyd back in 34th, Glenn Wood 35th, Brenton Bull 36th, and the last of our lead lap drivers. It's good to see the majority of the field is making it. Mosman Rolls, in fact, our only retirement from that race, and Matthew Hansford-Taylor ejected from the server before that one could get underway there. So, a little bit of controversy there. That's something don't want to see too often. We'll take a moment to with a warm-up phase here. And in fact, I've already been beaten to the information on who needs to pit here. So it looks like we've got ourselves 11 drivers who need to take a pit stop. So we'll be keeping an eye out for those guys and seeing how they can get up the field, or at least how far back down the field they will fall. We'll take another quick break here since we've got 3 minutes till the gridding phase for the final race here in the Pro class and Pro-Am class. Stick with us, guys, and we'll be back with you in just a moment.
Are you new to sim racing, or maybe a veteran struggling to reach the next level? Have you ever wondered how the aliens reach impressive lap times that seem impossible to achieve? If so, you're not alone. Most drivers reach a certain level and get stuck. But getting faster on track is easier than you think. VRS coaches are some of the best sim racers in the world and offer one-on-one driver skills training at affordable rates to help new drivers learn the basics and help experienced drivers break through to the next level. Are you ready to get faster and get off the iRating roller coaster? If so, VRS one-on-one personal training is for you. If you've invested in your equipment, it might be time to invest in yourself. Just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a 30, 60 or 90-minute session with one of our world-class coaches, and you'll learn exactly what to do for faster lap times and more podiums.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got rhythm. Both of them. Maloney. Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top. Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Six very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
Thanks for staying with us here on SimSpeed TV. We're back for the final race of the Simworx Roadster Rumble here in the Pro Division at Barcelona for round number 2. Big thanks, as always, while we take a quick moment here, for all of the series sponsors. Simworx, of course, the title partner, alongside KP Tech, Palmer's, Automotive Towing, Aussie Carts, Phoenix Smokers, Rinaldi, Motorsport Hauler, True Clean Detailing, and Race Lab. Great to see a huge number of brands able to support the series here, and a mix of real-world businesses and sim-specific businesses as well. It's a great combination to see. Well, warm-up has just finished here for the third and final race, so we'll head to the grid in just a second here. We've got 11 cars who need to take a pit stop in this third race, which will mean that see them unfortunately slide back down the order. You can see them there highlighted on the overlay. So our top 6 of Tame Venables: Ben Snell, Kyle Ridley, Sean Doyle, it's Brendan Cook and Caleb Hyde all need to take another stop. And then down in 16th place, Dennis Hancock also needing to stop. And then a couple more drivers down the end of the order there. So we see Nico Scaife and Glenn Boyd apparently need to take a stop. That's fascinating, but fair enough. And there was one more car in there. Daniel Webster, they go out of 22nd, will be taking a stop. Steve McMahon out of 27th, needing a stop. So 11 cars total. So unfortunately, there's a couple of guys there at the back of the pack there. They're going to have a rough third race result-wise. Nevertheless, revs are up here for race number 3. Grid results coming off of that race 2 there. And away we go here for the third and final race of the Simworx Roadster Rumble Pro Class. Everyone away this time. Looks fairly steady here as we head down to turn number 1, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. There, Tame Venables getting a very good start there. You can see Ben Snell all over the back as well. So you see everyone, we've all been pretty well behaved here tonight. We just need to get our lap 1 done as well there. Or I think that might have been Nick Hood was hard up on the inside as well.
No.
Did rejoin, but thankfully didn't cause too much trouble there.
Trouble at the back of the pack, though, for Luke Claver and Steve McMahon. They've both gone around. And, oh, no, that's Glenn Boyd as well in the number 38 car and ahead of them. They've actually left. Oh, Mos Moroz has had an absolute shocker. That's another tow back to the pits. Meanwhile, it's still going on. Kyle Ridley Spinning at turn 3, that's not good for him, given he needed to stop in this race. He's going to fall all the way to the back of the field, and now it's really breaking things up. Venables leads Snell and Doyle. They've still been able to hang on to their positions, but goodness gracious me, Nick. Turn my head for a moment to take a moment and read through some things and make sure I'm up to speed on where everyone's at. And, oh no, down at turn 5, we've got more drama right at the back of the field. One of the carbon cars has gone around, and the 202 there of Lucas McAuliffe is now 35th and second last of the cars out on track. Definitely been slightly better than the AM class starts here in races 2 and 3, but it's busy at turn 10, mid-pack. Sorry to interrupt that here because it keeps going. Cooper Allen up the inside of Brenton Hobson, if I'm not mistaken, and Caleb Patterson taking to the inside of the track. Fascinating line there through turn 10. I'm going to presume that was maybe some evasive manoeuvres because you don't do that without copping a pretty hefty slowdown, you'd think. And, it was Lee Harrison up the back of Daniel Webster. This guy's all kinds of busy. Meanwhile, it looks like Dennis Hancock's opted to take that pit stop that he needs to get out of the way, but the other cars yet to pit are still out on track here, Nick. So, oh no, Lee Harrison around to the final corner. Oh, makes after a race 2 where it looked like he made a mistake in the pits and took 4 tyres instead of 2. It's still going on, and it's still racing at the front of the field. Jack Boyd trying to fend off Caleb Hyde. He does so. In fact, opens the door to Cooper Allen. Oh, Cooper across the nose of Caleb. Caleb tried to stick it in there, but that's hurt him more than it helped. And watch him get swallowed up now by Brenton Hobson and Bailey Frid next up to try and steal a spot here on him. And Sonny Canshin looking as well, Nick. It's all action here at the front.
Another bump there to Caleb Hyde. It's almost a pinball in between all these cars here at the moment. Has done excellent job though to manage to keep it pointing straight there. Doesn't look too much light suspension damage there at the moment. I think that is Bailey Frid though, causing all over the back of him as well. I think that is Sonny Canshin in behind. So we're going to see these two go so deep under brakes there. Pushes Sonny Canshin all the way into that anti-cut curve there. Caleb Hyde's having to yield all the way around the outside. We are having a look. Gee, Caleb all the way onto the grass on the inside of that corner. Not too sure what has gone on there. He potentially may have to serve a slowdown for that one. Possibly just trying to keep out of the way of everyone.
Well, he shouldn't need to because he actually had to yield for Nick Wood, who tried to make a move up the inside there at turn 9. Was able to get the momentum around the outside of the corner though and actually get back on the tail of Brenton Hobson here. This is obviously not what Caleb needs. He needs to pit in this race, and all this fighting here is just harming his chances of actually making sure he gets that pit stop done and gets back out on track without losing too much time. Doesn't choose to come down the lane here though, so not sure what his plan is here because he needs to make 2 stops to not get hit with a penalty by the stewards after the race is all said and done here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'd have to say there it was always going to be a bold strategy by not taking that first race pit there. So potentially it might have been catching him up in relation to the points there. We've got Damien Seeger though. Super deep. We haven't seen too much of Damien Seeger. He has been involved in quite a number of incidents there. Has Brody Cook in front though. Brody not doing too bad there. Brody is one of the cars there that does need a pit. So you'd have to say though, if you're Damien Seeger, just holding on for the moment, not having to take too many risks. Brody will have to pit coming through there. You can see just Nick Wood a little bit further up the road.
Indeed. Going to cut to a virtual racing school replay here, folks, just to get an idea of what was happening. So here's down at turn 1. It's unfortunately seen our first retirement of the race in Mos Moroz. Let's see here. Oh, goodness me, it's Nicholas Scaife there at the back of the field, also going in deep. But front of the shot, Steve McMahon and Luke Caver both going around. Fortunately, I was looking at Scaife there in the background, so maybe a little front to rear action, but both cars spinning. And then, oh dear, Claver clips Glenn Boyd, and then Mos Moroz nowhere to go into the side of Glenn Boyd. That's heavy contact for all these cars. So that is not the race he wanted indeed. And yeah, Mos Moroz has chosen to retire the car and end his night iRacing there. Because that's definitely been a rough night for him. But up the front of the field and back with live pictures, Tane Venables still leading from Ben Snell, but they've got, well, Ben Snell now has Jack Boyd for company, so I think at this point Tane thinks about coming to the pits sooner rather than later. Get that stop out of the way. Yes, he does indeed come down the lane this time by. So clear that pit stop requirement and make sure that he's got that all sorted and give him a chance to maybe fight back through if drivers keep racing hard. Caleb Hyde still staying out on track, so a little concerning, a little interesting as to what the strategy ends up being for Caleb. If it's maybe a last lap stop or as late as possible stop for him, just to run with the lead pack and wait till the gap opens up maybe come the end of the race. That could work for him here if he can obviously has the pace to ride with this pack for sure. And it's just whether he can continue to get enough clean air to keep racing. But meanwhile, trouble at the back of the pack. Nicholas Scaife is around at the exit of turn 2. Opts to grab reverse, which is probably the better option here. And that's definitely gone from bad to worse for Scaife there, Nick.
Yeah, it was a real shame, especially seeing him well up inside that top 10. So not to worry, we'll definitely get a chance to try and grab some points back later on. We are going to cut to a VRS replay here. He was definitely pointing backwards, which is not what you want to be there. I think that is Caleb Patterson, car 888. Oh, bit of a knock in behind there and almost gave it back there, but did not affect Caleb Patterson too much there, so he's been able to keep going on there.
Indeed, just a little bit of a bump, enough to destabilise the car. And so with Tane Venables coming into the pits, the lead would have been with Ben Snell, but Jack Boyd's made quick work of that one there on race number 3. Just approaching the halfway point here, and he's through on Snell. Meanwhile, Ben just using all of the track and then a little bit more as he makes his way down through the penultimate corner here. Must be thinking of pitting sometime soon, and yep, that indeed is a peel into the pit lane there at the end of lap 4. So now order begins to settle itself down now, with Jack Boyd leading Brenton Hobson and Cooper Allen, but Cooper this time is all over the back of over Hobbo, sorry. So let's see what happens there down to turn number 1. Oh, wobbling and weaving and blinking for good measure, but no move from him yet. Meanwhile, Caleb Hyde's pulled out to the outside of Sonny Canchin. Does he get him on the brakes here into turn 1? Yes, but a blink from Canchin for good measure doesn't help things, but job done there for Caleb. So opting to take the lead of these two here and try and close the gap to Cooper and Brenton ahead.
Yeah, you'd have to say there though, for points for this round there, he's almost fighting with everyone with one hand tied behind his back, because he is going to have to go into the pits. So definitely maybe a lesson learned for next time coming through there. You actually see it's almost, if you're Sonny Canchin, maybe trying to push back onto the back of the group out in front there. You just see there, I think that might be car number 19 there of Cooper Allen, just absolutely walking away with it. Brenton Hobson out in front of him. Yeah, indeed. These two
are now glued nose to tail and have been for a couple of laps. And Sonny Canchin had been leading Caleb up to this point, but they hadn't really been able to close the gap. So we'll look to see here if Caleb can now close up the gap that he's taken the lead of this group. Meanwhile, let's have a quick look down the field here as we ride on board with Scott Harvey in the O2. He's looking to chase down Cameron Edmonds, but they've got to watch out for Todd George behind. And Todd George is late on the brakes. Looks to the inside of Scott, but not able to get alongside enough there. So no change of position there this time by, but I mean that Scott has to keep an eye on things in his rear mirror. He's making their way around the corner here. And a little calm for the time being here in this pack as they're fighting over position number 11. Meanwhile, action up ahead. Bailey Frid pushed wide, just runs wide. Not quite sure which it was there, to be honest, but that's not helping him at all. And car in the pit lane. There we go. Caleb Hydes brings the car down to the pit lane to take that second stop. Hoping there maybe to try and jump Tane Venables perhaps and Ben Snell. I'll wait and see what the result of that is. But that fight out on track continues. And looks like the answer is going to be Scott Harvey at the front of the train, but he's up and over the curbs. Slow down maybe there through turn 2 and turn 3. Yeah, he's definitely off the pace. serving something there. That's going to allow a whole host of cars through. Todd George, Cameron Edwards, Owen Coleman, and Tom Huggin all going to jump on that. And Wayne Losh is right in behind Scott now. So these guys make their way around turn 4, but Harvey looking to get back on the attack and try and get the spot back off Tom Huggin after that small error there. But Dice just yet looks to break deep into turn 5, but has to pull it up thanks to Cameron Edwards being directly ahead. Nowhere to go there. Scott then, Nick.
Yeah, very well slotted in behind there at the moment. Just on the inside, so he's able to edge out just in front of that carbon car there of Tom Huggin. We did see before, I think it is between, we did see, I think it was between Harvey and Cameron Edwards there for the effective Pro-Am lead, so definitely one to watch in this race here. We just did see Harvey though completely outbraked himself.
Yeah, that seems to be an issue for a couple of drivers here at turn 10, looking to just maximise the speed, and unfortunately it is not going the way they want. So these guys are indeed the net lead, as our remaining car up ahead there, Brody Cook in the number 69, is in the Pro-Am class, but as you can see indicated by the colour striping, yet to pit. Well, just as I say that, thank you, Brody, for making a temporary liar out of me as you come down the pit lane to get that car at pit stop done and get back out on track. So, Todd George, Owen Coleman, Cameron Edwards, Scott Harvey, Wayne Losh, Tom Huggin. Nice long train there from 8th back to 13th. We've got mostly Pro-Am, so that's our Pro-Am battle, but meanwhile, at the front of the field, Jack Boyd has been caught by both Brenton Hobson and Cooper Allen. So both of the divisions that are currently racing on track here, Nick, the fight for the class wins is alive and well in both.
Yeah, absolutely. So great work there by Hobson to close that gap there into Boyd, especially with Cooper Allen on his rear bar there. You can visually see just how much of that gap there is to Sonny Kenshin. So Sonny Kenshin, about 2.5 seconds adrift of those. We are going to have a bit of a look at a side-by-side there of the Pro and the Pro-Am battles in between these two.
It's indeed great to be able to bring you both of the get coverage on both the classes. So as you can see here, leaders making their way down into turn 10, while the Pro-Am leaders are just heading down the backstretch to turn 10 as we're talking. So good to see we've got 3 cars for both divisions here to fight it out. Sonny Kenshin is unfortunately not close enough at the time being to be able to really make it stick with just over 1 lap to go here for these guys. They make their way towards the end of lap 7 of 8. It's going to really take a bold move, I reckon, here for any of these guys to really take a couple of places here. And for someone like Sonny Kenshin, he's now really hoping on a big mistake from one of these 3. A white flag taken by Jack Boyd, but Hobbo is right there. Cooper Allen opts to tuck in and stay with Jack Boyd, but oh goodness me, he goes up the inside of Boyd down into turn 1. Who's got the braking done right? The answer is, oh, not quite. And Jack Boyd, is he going to get the positions back here at turn 2 and 3? He is. Oh, it's worked out beautifully for him there to roll out a fraction and let these two scrap over it. Goodness me, Cooper Allen getting a bit of sideways angle for good measure on the exit of turn 3 here, Nick.
Super bold there by Jack Boyd all the way onto the AstroTurf there, so really making it stick there almost super deep. That's actually going to give him the inside line there to Cooper Allen. So these two neck and neck coming through. Brenton Hobson all over the back as well if he can try and make a move, while these two potentially maybe even catch Cooper Allen sleeping. Massive battle.
Well, you just saw that Jack Boyd able to pull it up first for turn 1 and actually just tuck back in and get ahead of position. So going to have to be a similar thing, I reckon, from someone like Brenton Hobson if he wants a chance at getting a race win here. He's going to have to rely on Cooper making the bold move. One big braking zone left here for the run down to turn 10, but it's Hobbo with a better run on Cooper versus Cooper. And they go late shift from Cooper there under just before the braking zone to cut off Hobbo, but wings wide. Hobbo's going to get the outside line through turn 11 here, giving Jack Boyd a chance to just finish this one off and take the win as he would like. Meanwhile, back for Pro-Am, just real quick, Owen Coleman seems to have got that covered for the time being, so we'll stay here with the Pro class for the moment, because as they come through the final couple of corners, that fighting has indeed, looks like it's given the race win to Jack Boyd. Cooper Allen's going to hold on to second, and Brenton Hobson for third. Yes, indeed. Here they come across the line, folks. Boyd, Allen, and Hobson taking your podium here in race number 3. Nick Wood just holds off Damien Seeger there for 5th place. Meanwhile, for the Pro-Am win here in the 3rd race, Owen Coleman coming home 9th overall. And 9, 10, 11, our Pro-Am podium there for those guys. And as these cars come across the line, do we have any final battles? It's going to be Tame Venables bringing it across the line here after pitting early there in race number 1. Pretty comfortably ahead of Ben Snell and also very comfortably ahead of Caleb Hyde. So that staying out, definitely hurting Caleb there. Could potentially have jumped Tane and Ben if he'd come in a little earlier, I think, there, to be honest.
Yeah, we did see Tane also take a bit of a, I think he went race 1 and 3, so skipping race 2, but it hasn't worked out for him as much as well. I'm sure they'll be busting out the abacus, trying to work out where everyone sits on points, and we'll probably have to find out a little bit later on.
Indeed. Well, there's our results on screen for race number 3, folks. Jack Boyd with the race win, just ahead of Cooper Allen and Brenton Hobson. So, and followed by Sonny Canchin there. P4 unable to close up the gap to the 3 ahead. Followed by Nick Wood just holding off Damien Seeger there. Barely a 10th in it, as you can see. Bailey Frid looked a little bit under pressure there in the 3rd race in that mid-phase and finishes it up in 7th place. Followed home by Todd George and then Owen Coleman, the first of our Pro-Am class cars, ahead of Cameron Edwards in 10th place as we go across the page here, Nick.
Great work there by Cameron Edwards there. Tom Huggan there, Andrew Hobby, Barry Hodgson's, Scott Harvey, Simon Smith, Ray Oliver, Damon Mulqueen, I think was involved in a very last lap incident. Brenton Bull, Joel Proctor and Caleb Patterson there, getting quite involved in a lot of incidents there in 20th position.
Yeah, not quite the night for someone like Caleb. Definitely has the pace to be further up the field if it all goes well for him. Glenn Wood back in 21st place, followed by Lee Harrison in 22nd, another driver that we are definitely missing from the front of the field as it so happened. Tane Venables with that race 3 pit stop, and unfortunately gets shuffled back to 23rd, followed by Ben Snell and Caleb Hydes, all pitting here in race 3. Sean Doyle 26th ahead of Lucas McAuliffe 27th. Luke Claver 28th, unfortunately, after that tangle on lap 1, ahead of Brody Cook 29th. Daniel Webster in 30th place. And see here, plenty of cars still on the lead lap as we head over the page one last time. Dennis Hancock in 31st, one of our other pitters in race 3. Glenn Boyd, unfortunately, caught up in the lap 1, turn 1 there. Has to settle for 32nd. Steve McMahon, another unfortunate victim. 33rd place for him, ahead of Kyle Ridley. Nicholas Scaife, 35th, and the last car to finish on the lead lap. And Wayne Losh, our only car to complete the race, a lap down on the leaders with Mosman Ross retiring early there. That's a round he's probably wanting to forget now, I'd say, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. So, absolute action aplenty and bit of a favourite track of mine, Imola. So it'd be great to see the MX-5 there on some Italian soil. I think we're going to have a pretty, tonight's anything to go by, and as well as round 0 and round 1, I think we're definitely in for a treat.
Indeed, first of the combined rounds for the series as well, so different strategy rules and an invert top 10 in one of the races next week, or the second and longer race, I should say, will be out in force for that one there. And it's the first time, next time in this series we see the AM class and the Pro class go to different tracks. So good to see a bit of variety being thrown into the calendar mix. And just see here, speaking of which, there's the AM series schedule. Actually, that says AM series when it should probably say Pro series. Pardon me for being a nitpick there and spotting that one there on the graphic. So this is the Pro calendar. for the Season 3 of Simworx Roadster Rumble. So as you see there, Imola up next week with the combined round, and then we'll head to Road America for our next Enduro. And then we follow a sprint combined Enduro roster for the remaining rounds. Barber, Road Atlanta, Coda, and then Donington, Montreal, and Bathurst. It's plenty of great tracks, a lot of high-speed circuits with a couple of national ones mixed in. So here's the actual AM series calendar, Nick, and you see that a bit of variation compared to the Pro class.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's definitely going to be something in for everyone. A lot of familiar tracks. So even with going to Phillip Island next week with the AM series as well as Imola. So everyone getting in plenty of practice. I think our combined rounds there is definitely going to push everyone's mind a bit, trying to work on a different strategy. We've seen what kind of really works now in our sprint series.
Indeed, it seems to be playing out as getting an idea of what works best, but the combined round is a different beast altogether. One pit stop between two races. It's quite a fascinating mix of strategy and requirements there, indeed. But that's going to do us for tonight, Nick. The series obviously returning next week. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it due to the resumption of my own league on next Tuesday night. So that means I can't make it for commentary duties, but I'm sure we'll have someone alongside you to be able to continue covering the series as we are. So I'll be back in 2 weeks for round number 4 as it stands, which would be great because that's another Enduro. So big one there at Road America for all the cars. So I hope you enjoy next week's racing, and I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks and the series in 2 weeks. But any final words from you, Nick?
You kind of caught me off guard there. Some excellent racing that we've seen tonight there. Really shows that just how much of a battle of attrition it is with the first couple laps, and also we've seen so many incidents in the last lap. I think we see people really come across that red mist in some of those final laps, so maybe it's something they can learn on for next time.
Sounds like a good observation indeed. Well, SimSpeed is live again on Thursday night for the next round of the Aussie Cars Skip Barber series as they head to Watkins Glen. So Draft Fest incoming, dare I say. Well, until then, folks, thank you all for tuning in. My name's Daniel Yeaman. I've had Nick Scrave here in Commentary Box once again, along with Jay Kennedy in production. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope you've enjoyed the racing action. And until next time, it's bye for now.